Welcome to Weapons Grade Radio. Weapons Grade. Weapons Grade Radio. Weapons Grade. Weapons Grade Radio.
Due to mature subject matter, viewer discretion is advised.
This show's got some big old balls on it.
We're discussing the the social justice warrior, anti-fucking idiots.
Yes.
And the fact that everybody who is not them is a fascist.
Exactly.
And there is a hell of a lot of infighting.
Yes. And so essentially he said, so this guy I met named Yuri, he dressed up like Antifa to get behind the enemy lines. And he said it was like they were all about to start swinging on each other, arguing about stupid shit, just clarification type stuff like, oh, you know, you don't support this thing and I support this, so fuck you. Like, maybe
really
you should
no
be over there
leadership
with the Trump people, like, you fucking idiot. Like, and he watched me. I went up. They were on the Capitol steps, was the Antifa's kind of stronghold, and they had police protection the entire time.
Which is hilarious since they're chanting all those die pig die chants the whole time. They're getting their police protection.
I think the Black Lives Matter one was pigs in a blanket fry like bacon.
Right.
And what's it?
My God.
What's the only good cop? A dead cop.
Right. But if somebody touches them, officer,
police,
officer,
arrest this man.
Yeah, arrest this man. He touched me.
I've got a story for that too, but I will say this. So I basically was talking to the camera, walking up the street, and obviously kind of just making general dialogue as I walked with my wife. And so I walked over to the Capitol steps, and by the way, I was well off the steps. I was basically where the sidewalk continued past the Capitol front steps,
In Salem.
and where all the cops were. There was a row of about 5 police officers, just creating like a separation,
right?
Because they are doing their job by giving Antifa their safe space on the Capitol steps. And by the way, they let those motherfuckers chalk anarchist A's and, fuck Trump and all this other just really hateful anti-American rhetoric on the front of the statues of the Capitol here in Salem, Oregon. It was just absurd that they let them do that, even though it's not permanent.
Right.
One of them was trying to spray paint it, was what this guy said, because when he was behind their group, he heard them talking about actually permanently trying to mark the place, and that was part of the infighting. But in any case, I was standing on the corner, on the sidewalk next to a police officer. I could have turned around and hit him with my arm on accident. And 5 of them came across the street, basically ran at me.
And your wife.
And my wife. Well, she was basically behind me a little bit, but
right. She's pregnant too, right? I think.
Well, she is now, but
okay.
This was quite a few months ago.
Okay.
But they ran across the street with air horns, and as they were coming over to him, I'm like, "Oh, there's some." I go, "These guys need help," and they're like, "Yep," and they just walk right up to my head, or right up to my face, and grab air horns and spray both of them in my fucking ears, both at the same time. And the whole time I'm just going, "Get out of my face! Get out of my face! Get out of my face!" Because I'm not going to touch them. I'm not going to touch them. I'm not going to antagonize them. I'm not going to give them a reason to hit me. And they did that for about 20, 25 seconds. I'm not going to exaggerate it, but it hurt my ears.
Well, of course, an air horn directly to your ear.
Granted, yeah. So then one of them was like, "Nice hat," and I was wearing a hat that was red and white and blue, but it's a parody of IHOP pancakes. It says hip hop.
And they were against that hat?
Well, she thought it was a fucking Trump hat. So I said, it says hip hop, you dipshit. Like when she said, "Nice hat," like all condescending.
Right.
I'm just like, yeah, you're an idiot. You can't even read.
And they are uneducated.
Very much so.
Ignorance.
I like to call them smart idiots or smart retards, because they usually, in many cases, did complete high school, did potentially do
in college,
or they're actually in college right now, and they were radicalized by these communist professors that really are everywhere. In any case, the cop actually turns to me after that and says, "Probably be better if you didn't antagonize him." And I go, "Officer, are you serious right now?" Like, I was trying to be polite to the guy, but I was also kind of shaken up from getting air horn sprayed in my fucking ears.
He said, "Don't antagonize them."
He goes, "Don't antagonize," because I yelled snowflake at him after they did that to me. Which, I'm sorry, I'm going to still talk shit to you after you blow air horns.
Absolutely, and you were, I would have such a hard time not touching them.
Oh, dude, they were. If I would have just taken a step forward, I would have walked through them. That's how close they were. And one of them, by the way, he's developed a name for himself in Portland as Antifa Snorlax because this guy's gut,
Snorlax?
his gut is so fucking rotund. I mean, it's like the biggest front butt you've ever seen. And he wears a fucking mask as if you're not going to know who he is.
I was going to say.
He's the biggest barrel-chested, squat, dumpy-looking motherfucker you've ever seen. And it's like, don't know who that guy is. And, you know, he took his mask off multiple times during the whole thing. And I was just like, okay, I totally know. I could pick this guy out of a crowd, no problem.
Yeah. So in the gut is just such a huge, such a clear marker of this douchebag.
And he kept sitting down on the bench, so I'm like, oh, he's getting winded. You know, he needs some exercise. But yeah,
well, guys like that do need a lot of rest, you know, because like they're carrying such a heavy load.
Snorlax, you got to play the pokey flute to wake his ass up.
Snorlax, I like that one.
You know what Snorlax is, right?
Holy shit! No, I don't. But it sounds great.
Well, you used to play the Pokemon game on the Game Boy. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this have. But basically, there'd be a Snorlax blocking your path to future parts of the game that you have to progress through. And you wake him up with this Poke Flute. And, of course, you got to get the fucking Poke Flute on this one ship by looking through trash cans. Stupid. But you wake up Snorlax and you get... I think you only get 2 or 3 of them in the game, an opportunity to catch them. And they're really hard to catch, like, because they're huge, apparently.
But that's why you compare this guy to a Snorlax?
Yeah, just because
he won't be so hard to catch.
Yeah, of course. And of course, a lot of these Antifa guys love it, you know, Pokemon. They're weird manga nerds that, you know, and they did a study in the
check
UK.
out the hentai and
hentai tentacle porn. Dude, I got a study.
I
got a story for that too, but we can get into that later.
Tentacle porn.
Tentacle fucking porn.
Anti-fought tentacle porn pieces of shit.
Yeah, look up Kurt Eichenwald. I'm just gonna say that the guy, he went on Tucker Carlson at one point and had this like fake binder of all of Tucker's lies, but he wouldn't open it, and Tucker was just laughing at him the whole time, and the guy got super butthurt, and essentially he started doing a tweet storm of just hate and like, oh fuck Tucker, and I totally like I've got all the dirt on him, and he has nothing on me, and all this other shit. And so the internet started trolling him as hard as they could.
Right.
And one of them sent him like a very repetitive flashing meme. I don't remember what the meme said. It was just trolly shit. And he claimed he had a seizure from that fucking meme. I'm not making this up.
What?
And he sued this guy, and this guy's about to serve 8 months in jail for assault for a fucking repetitively flashing meme on the internet. I shit you not. This is the start of the kind of Gestapo tactics that the left likes to use.
So some judge, though, approved that action, right? That's the only way the guy was in jail is if a judge said, yeah, you know, you assaulted this man and you need to go to jail for it.
I think they've had a hearing so far. I don't think he's been formally
wow.
He's set to face 8 months if he's not acquitted. Obviously, I would argue that it's free speech, but of course, if I were to like intentionally with verbal clarification that I am trying to make you have a fucking seizure, like my sister has epilepsy, it's not very severe,
right?
But at the same time, I would never intentionally start like clapping with a fucking strobe light in front of her and just going like, I hope you seize up, you know, like so that would be assault.
So the guy sent a meme and the other person had a seizure because of it,
right? Well, no. He claims
he
no
had
proof. His, you know, the only person that's going to back him up is his wife.
Yet the guy who sent the meme is in jail.
I think he's being held.
Right,
I think
or maybe it's house arrest, or he's being
house
held
arrest,
or something like that.
Probably on some type of like pre-probation of some kind.
Fucking God! And you're so right about the Gestapo tactics.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, like why are we being? I mean, okay, freedom of speech is incredibly important.
Right.
But these Antifa fucking idiots are doing everything they can to attack it.
Yes.
While acting like they're trying to uphold it somehow, or you know, by running around with masks on and beating up anybody who doesn't agree with them.
Right.
Which is like what, Nazi tactics?
It's brown shirt tactics.
Right.
The brown shirts were effectively Hitler's little political fighting force that would show up at opponents' rallies and just start brawling with everybody. They would just start, you know, in some cases throwing Molotov cocktails, punches, knives. I think they stopped short of firearms at that point because they didn't want to incite a fucking full-scale riot. But they would show up and put so much pressure and kind of implicitly send a message that we're here because of, you know, our leader. And you better figure out real quick that we're not going to let you have a platform because we're going to deplatform you. Now, there's a big difference between giving someone you don't like a platform and then having a better argument than them,
right?
And basically ruling the day with facts and logic. And hey, you made a very cogent point. Like, I concede the argument to you. Congratulations. But let the audience decide. It's not up to you to decide what is hate speech or what is not.
Right, and just to label everybody Nazis because they don't agree with your rhetoric or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that makes me the sickest.
Yeah.
I guess, and to get down to the roots of it, anytime that you or anybody else, not you personally, but somebody else would threaten an innocent person with bodily harm or scare somebody,
It's terrorism.
It's terrorism. And
Yes.
that's where I really get pissed off and get involved, because it's not so much, I mean, the rhetoric is childish and ignorant and just, I mean, mind-bogglingly stupid. I can't say boggling. Mind-bogglingly stupid. And the fact that they put on masks as well, and the fact that they disturb everybody else's everyday life by running into traffic and stopping buses and throwing bottles. And I was actually watching the whole thing at Berkeley. They call it the Battle of Berkeley.
I'm so happy you know about that.
Absolutely. And Antifa were throwing M80s into the crowd. They were throwing fucking glass bottles. They were
Rocks,
throwing bricks,
boulders.
rocks and boulders, and the police did nothing to stop it.
The police were ordered to stand down by the communist mayor. There was one of the Antifa people that was arrested that day. Now, of course, they're a minority. I think they're like Native American or some type of Indian.
Oh, sure.
And this guy defended him on four separate occasions that this guy was going to be tried for his vandalism and rioting. The mayor, who's a total communist, he basically stood up for this guy. Now he's backing away from the guy because the guy got caught for assaulting somebody, I think a woman.
So was it a bike lock guy?
No, that's that's Eric Clanton. Eric Clanton's fucked because of what we call POL, which is politically incorrect on 4chan. Those guys are what we call the autism spectrum geniuses. These guys are lords of the internet, and by that I mean shitlords.
Right.
Shitlords are people who are master meme creators. They're master shit posters. Shitpost is basically something that's fake but is meant to bring attention to an issue that is real, but it's being done in a satirical sense so that it makes you think a little bit, laugh a little bit, and then go, why do I know about this now and I'm not doing anything about it, that kind of thing. So they kind of have their little domain, and they communicate with other people. Like I go on the Donald Reddit, which is Donald Trump's supporters Reddit, but it's one of the most inclusive communities I've ever been to. Like, I go a lot of places on the internet, and there's always places where there's ideas that challenge my own beliefs, and that's good.
It is good. That's what our country's fucking based on, isn't it? The right to express yourself and disagree with somebody else, and
Yes.
in doing that, we come to a higher,
Higher plane,
a
man.
higher
Just
plane
a
of
higher
thinking.
plane, yeah.
Right. That's how humans can evolve into a higher plane of
A
thinking.
new plateau of intelligence.
Yeah, a new level of consciousness and power. Such power.
And that's the sad thing about Berkeley. Although a lot of people, when they say, well, Berkeley is the birthplace of free speech, they're not really recognizing that at the time there was their version of history is just as simple as, well, it's a place that free speech really got a foothold in during like the 60s. But at the same time, they don't realize that their version of free speech then was actually to the point where these liberal students were essentially going around and shutting down professors they did not like. They would, this was going on, 60 years ago.
Wow.
And people don't recognize that. There was a guy that literally had to move his class every hour. I think I could be misquoting. It could have been every 2 hours, but this guy would have to move the location of his lectures and classes every hour because these guys were out for blood. They literally were trying
Out for blood,
physically intimidate and harass his students as well as the professor himself,
which is the anti-FOB movement,
which is
of
not
today.
free speech. Now, there's a
Not
lot
at
of
all,
good speeches that came out of that movement that we can pull to today and play right now, and you guys would be like, I support that. But those people didn't practice what they preached, and that's the whole problem with free speech is there's no limits to it. And if I want to talk about, shooting white people or shooting black people or skinning cats or whatever, like, we can talk about it, but that doesn't make me a bad person. It's just a topic of conversation. If you can't have a good counter argument to say, well, that's fucked up and heinously wrong, and here's why, here's what it does to the people around you and the animals that you're, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Then that person's going to win the argument because the crowd's going to be like, yeah, you are a piece of shit.
Right, it's pretty easy to sway a mob.
So easy.
Yeah, with rhetoric that's, like the obvious rhetoric, like,
Yeah.
racism's bad, woo! Well, that guy's bad. Yeah,
that's-
kill him.
That's a tactic. There's a book called Rules for Radicals. Are you familiar with that book?
No, but I'm gonna read it.
Okay, so the author's name is Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky. On the fourth page of the book, he dedicates the book to, take a guess,
Martin Luther King.
Lucifer.
Oh yeah.
Who wrote love letters to the guy when she was in college? Take a guess.
Was it Antoine LaVey's daughter?
How you wish. I don't even know who the fuck. What's her
She's
name?
kind of hot, actually. I forgot her
probably
name, but anyways, yeah, she carried on the family.
That would make
religion.
sense. That would make sense.
Yeah.
It was Hillary Clinton.
Oh, that's right.
Hillary Clinton wrote
Love letters.
I mean, they were akin to love letters. She wasn't like, oh, I'm touching my you know what I'm saying?
Right, but she was like, I
basically-
admire you. And
She was
you're everything.
slobbering over his knowledge boner, if that makes any sense, and his
I like
methodology
that.
boner. So she would say,
Fondling his knowledge balls.
oh, of course. I mean, stimulating his
tickling his taint.
yeah,
Tickling his knowledge taint.
entertainment. But no, she was all about it. She said basically she wrote her college thesis based on his work. What it comes down to is if you accuse someone as being a racist, there's really, even them denying it it puts doubt in the mind of the casual observer. They go, well, maybe he is a racist.
Yeah, why would he be denying it if he's not?
And maybe I'm a racist too.
Oh,
I'm white. My great grandfather might have had some slaves.
I know mine did.
Really?
Yeah.
You did the ancestry thing?
Oh, yeah.
well,
Well,
we have ties to the South. You said
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I want to do the ancestry thing because there's all sorts of rumors as far as like where exactly we came from, but I know for sure the two places that we visited in the South, which is the one thing that didn't get recorded,
kind of
'cause
the
I would-
antebellum South. You know, yeah.
Yeah, were plantations, both of
Yeah.
them, and they're huge. And it was really weird for me because I've never experienced it. I think all of us growing up on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a property that has slave quarters?
No, there's carriage houses.
Right, carriage houses, but like actual slave quarters. And then every large property we went to had the slave house. They always had slave quarters.
Interesting.
Yeah, or not now slave quarters, but back in the day.
Well, the West Coast was basically settled after slavery to
Correct.
a certain extent. I mean, there
Right.
might have been some that were underground slaves.
It wasn't a
because
part
that
of our
still went
culture,
on. Yeah.
right? It wasn't a part of our everyday living, and
Yeah.
there it was. And so it was really, really interesting to see that. There was a newspaper clipping of a lady who was like 100-something years old, and her as a child, and her father and family had lived on one of the plantations that were in my family lineage. And she said, well, the master always treated the slaves really great and all this stuff. And she said, most black people hate me for saying this, but our master was really good to us and this and that. He said he did, however, one time sell a couple of teenage girls to a different property, and the mom passed out from anguish over the whole affair. And I was just like,
Passed out or
that-
passed away?
Passed out, but literally lost her
Fainted.
shit and fainted because
Well, yeah.
imagine somebody comes to your home, takes your children, and says they're leaving and you're never going to see them again because I want $1,000 a head. I'm going to sell your children.
An even simpler analogy:
Fucking awful.
Try to take two puppies away from a mama pit bull and see what the fuck happens.
See what
to their
happens.
face.
Exactly. But at the same time, this woman couldn't do anything about it because it was slavery and her children were property. So that part of it really. We went to the slave graveyard, which was really heavy to see. So I'm not trying to condemn myself, but
You're doing a good job.
thank you.
You're doing a great job.
But my father, my father's father, my children, and myself have nothing to do whatsoever with slavery. We have nothing to do with racism. I don't teach my kids to hate anybody ever. I teach them to accept everybody, any color, any nationality. And if anything, it's going to broaden their horizons and make their life fuller because they get to experience all sorts of different, unique, people from different countries and different
backgrounds,
different backgrounds.
cultures.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't say that for other races and whatnot. A lot of times I feel like certain racial groups will teach their children to hate my kids because they're white.
I think it's more of a healthy distrust. You know that whole hurry up and buy. You know the stereotypical North Korean shop owner.
Sure.
Or sorry, just Korean shop owner, North Korean.
Did you ever see?
Let's hope.
It says I forgot which movie we were watching. It was like a comedy movie that was a knockoff of like Boys in the Hood. And
dude, that's what I'm talking about. Is don't be a menace
Yeah.
to South
Yeah.
Central while drinking your juice in the hood. Yeah,
the
that's-
sign said black owned, and this Korean guy like comes up from behind the counter and he's got like a beanie on, and he
Yeah. No, I think that was a different movie because
I know I can't remember which one.
Yeah, I was gonna say because the one I'm talking about is the Wayans Bros. It's definitely their best comedy. In my
Friday.
opinion.
That's the movie it was on.
Oh, Friday, fucking A, dude.
Friday's
yeah.
hilarious.
I broke my neck and my back.
My neck and my back.
I need a backiotomy.
Right. So stuff like that. I think, in my opinion, in my firm opinion, we need to make fun of our differences.
Absolutely.
We need to have racism in some jokes.
Yeah, for
because if we don't laugh at it, we'll never get past it.
Yeah, I make fun of white people all the fucking time. Man.
Absolutely.
I see corny ass, and I mean, I'll be honest, I'm a hip hop head, so you know anybody listening, if I start talking kind of ghetto style, it's just because I love hip hop.
I was raised on it. Yeah, my mom would find my hip hop album, or my gangster rap actually was the first kind of
Yeah.
rap that we were exposed to, which was Eazy-E,
Of
Too
course.
Short,
Yeah.
Tech, or not Tech Nine, but NWA. And it was a fuck, pussy, fuck, shit. I can fuck this
Yeah.
nigga, fuck, white boy, fuck you. And that's what we grew up to listening.
Yeah, and that's rap. You know,
Sure.
I consider. And by the way, I love gangster rap. I love.
Yeah, it's part
Dr.
of.
Dre.
In my opinion, it's like almost like classic rock. And I was thinking about that.
It's just so timeless,
It's
man.
definitely timeless.
Yeah.
Well, I played for the boys the other night. It was all bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. Lick on these nuts and suck the dick.
I'm sure they love that.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Dad, that's so cool."
That's dope, Dad. That's dope. Is that from your time? That's dope.
So I wasn't teaching them to hate anybody, but bitches, of course. Bitches are, I guess, apparently not okay.
Fuck bitches get money, for the record.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to teach them how to disrespect women either. It was a song. It's an expression. It's an art form.
That's a bit of a stretch. That's
It
a very
is a bit of a
misogynistic
stretch.
song.
It's
love,
incredibly misogynistic,
Yes.
isn't it? Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. Wow. What a statement that's saying. But
let's analyze. No.
But I'm a hip hop head too, and I like the underground hip hop the most. That's where I really dig in because I love the musicality of it. Actually, I
Yes.
stole the intro to this show from Run the Jewels. I don't know if
Love
you've
Run
heard-
the Jewels, Killer Mike, and LP.
Killer Mike, and Killer Mike is extremely militant in his rhetoric and stuff, and
He is.
in a large part. I'm not saying militant as in you're bad and I want to kill everybody, but he's very outspoken as far as rights are concerned. For he says the black male is under attack right now in this country and different things of that aspect.
When have they not been under attack, homie? Well,
Absolutely.
actually, you know what? I would argue.
Well-
I would argue right now. Let me be honest. I have no perspective on this. I'm not a black male. I'm a white, Caucasian, tall,
Right.
gangly motherfucker.
I can't speak from their perspective.
But I will say this: I've listened to a lot of either not just conservative black speakers, but also just people like Ice Cube. Ice Cube's a down to earth motherfucker. If you listen to him talk, he doesn't really mince words. He's done a lot of corny shit. He's done kids movies, which I'm not a huge fan of because it's PG. Like,
Yeah, my sons
fuck
think
that.
that's hilarious. Actually,
Cancer.
they listen to Ice Cube and they watch they've seen those movies and they think it's
Well, they should
hilarious.
listen to his old albums when you're talking about.
That's what I'm saying.
You remember that song Black Korea? You
Yeah.
remember when he got boycotted over that shit
Yeah.
because they were talking about burning down the fucking North Korean stores like we were just talking about? Like,
Yep. I'm gonna
trying to
fuck
turn
you
the ghetto into Black Korea. Like the ends of the song. It's only like a minute and a half long, but he triggers so many people with that song. Oh my god! It was
They were always talking about fucking someone up the ass with a broomstick.
yeah, with No Vaseline. There's
Yeah.
a whole song called No Vaseline.
No Vaseline.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's about Dr. Dre because that's all about how the beef went down with that whole Death Row crew that originally started and then splintered off. Because if you guys didn't know, Ice Cube wrote all those fucking lyrics, all of them. Eazy-E didn't write the shit. Eazy-E didn't even want to be behind the microphone. They just had to have an extra guy, and they figured his voice, since it was a totally different octave than everybody else's, like he would sound interesting. And when he did Boys in the Hood, everybody loved it. So that's when they basically started writing rhymes for Eazy because his rhymes were different, but Ice Cube wrote all those.
And Ice Cube should have gotten publishing and all sorts of different stuff for writing the song, but I don't think they knew anything about the business.
Well,
at the time.
Easy fucked everyone. I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to this have seen Straight Outta Compton. You can watch that movie. It's actually very accurate. I was going into the theater thinking this is gonna, or actually, did I go to the? No, I didn't. I didn't go see it in the theaters.
We watched it at home, but yeah.
Yeah, I watched it at home.
Which is hilarious because, I'll bet you money if you would have gone to any theater here in our area or
All white.
Oregon, where it's going to be all white,
white.
men our age.
Because the black dudes already know the story.
Of course.
Just joking.
But no, for us, it's like a classic part of our history. It kind of feels like the popular rap crowd only like the rap song for so long. My brother one time explained it to me as like, it's like an accessory. So like you'll have a song that's kind of like an accessory that you play out of your car and everybody thinks it's awesome for the time, but 2 or 3 months down the road, it's old and nobody wants to hear it anymore. And it kind of happened to NWA in my opinion. I've been listening to NWA since I was fucking 13 years old. So when they finally come out with a movie about it, I'm like, yeah, well.
So it's like a charm bracelet.
Everybody jumps back on the bandwagon. Right.
Add and remove charms as the songs come out.
It's like
what's
jewelry.
that shit about? Yeah.
Not, and I don't fucking get down like that, man. If it's good music, it's timeless. I don't care when it came out, or there's all sorts of even Kendrick Lamar songs from like 6 months ago. I guarantee you
That's old school, bro. You need to catch up with the times,
nobody
man.
even listens to that in the rap crowd because it's old. Oh, that's old. That's old, bro. That's
Man
old.
down.
No shit.
I love that song. See, that's the first, first full length Kendrick studio album. Good.
Where's your
good,
grandma at, my nigga? Is
Yeah.
that what it?
Where you from, my nigga? Where your
Yeah.
grandma stay, my nigga?
And being a white guy, I was like,
Yeah.
God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my
I
God.
want to play that really loud.
Good Kid, Mad City. But I mean, there's a lot of references to his Christian faith in that album. It's a concept album. Almost all his albums are concept albums. So he he's putting himself in a role. If you guys ever heard of Cool Keith, I mean, he's like the king of alter egos. And
Cool
and
Keith is
concept
one of my
albums.
biggest. I'm a huge fan, and he's come through here a couple times recently for like.
I'm surprised you're a Cool Keith fan.
I fucking love Cool
He's
Keith.
kind of like saltine crackers. He's not for everyone. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, he's for me.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
I'm a very
really-
eclectic. I listen to very eclectic music, and I have a very, the music I listen to, most people don't. My
good.
Yeah, my son
good.
was like, "Oh, this is my impersonation of Dad. Everybody else likes this song. I fucking hate it. Everybody else likes this song.
Okay,
it
that's
sucks."
fucking funny. That's pretty.
me.
That's pretty funny. He was clowning you like that. How old?
He was.
How old is your son?
He's 17 now.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
All right.
but I've been able to pass that on to them because they listen to like Byzantine monks chanting and stuff, and they listen
What?
they listen to like really like fucking bagpipe music. My
I
son
like
loves,
bagpipes.
Yeah, my son
Yeah.
loves classical music. They love banjo music, and they
love
are
banjo
bluegrass.
music,
They
yeah.
love it.
I used to have no appreciation for bluegrass. I totally do now.
me too.
String instruments, string instruments on a whole are just so challenging, and
Absolutely.
banjo is one of the most. It's just so hard to master.
Yeah,
there's
that was the
so
first,
many more notes.
First instrument. Well, the first instrument my son asked for was a bagpipe.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but there's no fucking.
And a kilt. It comes with the kilt, right?
Yeah.
Throwing a free kilt.
Could you imagine having a beginner bagpiper in the house? That'd be like
fuck.
way worse than drums, dude. That would be awful. You hear that shit everywhere through the house, and it'd be like.
I think they already made a show. It's called The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
Lisa plays this. I'm just joking, but she's actually a really good
bagpipe?
sax player on the show. So
Well, the sax
ironically-
is one thing. The bagpipe, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah, you can't even replicate the sound. It's like
Yeah.
it's like a goose dying
Oh
its
my
last
God.
breath.
Luckily, he moved on to the banjo. It's the first instrument we got him. Now my other son, the younger son, is playing around with the banjo.
Good.
And he went to guitar. Now he's playing the violin, which is great.
That's epic. Violence is very hard.
I'm really proud of him for doing it too. And
That's awesome.
but we were able to pass on that eclectic love of music because the stuff that I play for them in the car has nowhere even near all the popular music here today.
Right.
It's all of the old school rap, old school rock, stuff
definitely.
that you would never ever hear. I like electronic music a lot too.
Me too.
Yeah, so it's stuff
That's
that
the
they
other
would
thing.
never hear in a million years unless I played it for them.
We're not like old fogies, you know. I'll put it this way. I've gone to music
Well, I'm
festivals.
almost 40.
Well,
Fuck.
oh shit. Well, let's not get into that.
That's the new 16.
Let's put it this way: we have an appreciation for it's like aged wine, baby. Sometimes songs get better with age. I mean, "Fuck the Police" will always be a good song,
Always.
but
Always be a good song. You know what? They should play that at Antifa rallies while they're being protected.
they actually have.
Did they?
I have video. It'd take me a while to find it
Fuck
on
the
my YouTube.
police.
Yeah,
fuck,
they were-
fuck
they-
officer, arrest
But
this
they
man.
look so gay.
Oh, they're
And I
horrible.
mean that in every sense of the word. They look like such beta males. It's not even fucking
Beta
and-
males
And
is
the
a good way to
and
put
the
it.
women are their front line. They put their fucking women out on the front line because guess what? The women are way more butch than they are.
Yeah, they are. But I think in a big way, women can get away with more. Women can say
very,
more.
very true.
Yeah, if a woman walks up to you and slaps you in the face, you have to think twice or 3 or 4 times before you react. Whereas if a beta male comes over and slaps you in the face, you're going to beat the fuck out of him.
I still don't agree with that.
But
But let me put it this way: if a really weak guy comes up and slaps a big, muscly looking dude, is that guy not? I mean, he's
I'm
not
going to hurt him.
He's not supposed to pull, or he's probably supposed to pull his slap. Mentally, you think, okay, I'm an MMA fighter. I'm not going to fucking kill this guy.
No.
But you're still going to like go,
Teach him
you
a little
can't
lesson.
do this.
Right.
Whoopsh,
Yeah.
And then teach him a little lesson. With a girl, I wouldn't cold cock her, but if she slapped me, I'd just be like, psh, slap her back. Because at that point, all that shit gets live streamed. If you're at an Antifa rally, you're on camera.
Everything's recorded now. It's so interesting.
Everything's
Everybody
recorded.
sees everything, so they can't be like,
Everything's
he hit me. He's an evil man.
But
He's
they do
trying
that
to...
anyway. There's a fucking video called Smuggly Puff, and it's this
Smuggly Puff.
It's this, I guess it's a girl. I don't even know. It's in Canada. She's wearing like a fucking yellow Pikachu colored hat. And this person, this crazy transsexual assaults this guy. And then she goes, I didn't see anything. Like to the cop. She's like, no,
What?
That didn't happen. I didn't see anything. And then she goes and turns to the guy that just got hit and flips him off in the most disgustingly self-righteous, smug look on her
like I can get
face.
away with it because of who I am. I can do whatever
if
I
you
want.
saw you don't even have to know the context or what just occurred. If you saw the face and the middle finger, you would be like, that's a very punchable face. You would want to just hit her because she's just
right. Or it,
such
right?
a turd. It's
Yeah.
like a turd, just like you want to flush her down the toilet.
Like a wrapped up piece of Pikachu shit.
Exactly.
Like she came out of Pikachu's butthole. Whatever that is. Pikachu.
Pikachu. Tootsie Roll.
Yeah. Well, the Antifa people drive me
Yeah,
crazy.
they
I think
do.
they're a huge problem in Portland. It's
are.
like a virus. And if anything, I think these are like scared children.
They are actually
because they don't want to get a job. They don't want to be a part of society. And don't get me wrong, man. I think there's 100 million things wrong with a lot of things. Well, not 100 million things, but there's certain things in America that are going wrong that we need to talk about and fix.
Yes.
But we need to come together as a society. We need to work together to come up with solutions peaceably to fix these problems. We don't need to put on masks and run around breaking other people's property, setting businesses on fire, and beating up innocent people because they disagree with our rhetoric.
Absolutely.
That's my main point about Antifa. There's so many reasons to hate them, but my biggest reason that I'm against them is they intimidate the weak. That's their favorite thing to do. They take cheap shots at people who disagree with them. And for me, if I went to one of those rallies, they'd look at my size and the fact I'm a big white guy, and they would immediately pick on me, and they would immediately call me a racist and call me a fascist and say I was a Trump supporter and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't even vote for Trump, you know what I mean? But they would assume that I did just because of what I look like, and that is a huge form of racism.
Yes, it is. But no. And that's the most ironic thing is most of Antifa are white. They're not black. I mean, there's a few. I'll put it this way:
black people want nothing to do with them.
No, it's not. There is a guy named Luis or Louis, and he's Hispanic. I assume it's either that or he's like Central American. This guy's like 5'1", 5'2". He's very diminutive, but he's a fucking heroin addict. And I only know this stuff because I've watched entirely too many live stream videos of the events in Portland. And I remember one video where some of the Patriot Prayer guys and Proud Boys were actually in the middle of one of these like little micro parks in Portland, and they were talking to this. They basically went across the street because these guys were trying to antagonize them by burning an American flag right there in the park and fuck with them. So these guys walk over to him and just start talking shit. One of the guys is a homeless organizer. This guy wants his whole thing, like he was at Berkeley at the Battle of Berkeley, and the one preceding the Battle of Berkeley, because remember there was 3 events at Berkeley that sparked a massive fucking like riot, infighting, just all this shit. And this guy had a sign simply that said, "House the homeless." That's all it said. And granted, he is a bit of an antagonizer, but they pelted him. Antifa pelted this poor guy with eggs. They spit on him. I think they threw fireworks at him at one point. They really went to town on this guy, and so in the park he was actually raising that beef with these guys, saying, you guys fucking threw eggs at me and spit on me, and all I want to do is create housing for the homeless. And he goes, I create jobs for the homeless. I've created a job program for anybody who wants to work. I get them paid like $12 a day or $12 an hour. and they just do manual labor, yard work type stuff for people that are willing to hire them.
Of course.
And then they go get their food or their beer or whatever, and they have a great night. It's empowering the homeless people to stand up and actually, they're not worthless people. They don't need handouts all the time. If you're physically handicapped, that's one thing. But if you're perfectly able to work, and as long as you're willing, because you have to be willing first before you're just going to get handed shit. That's just how it goes.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up because that was our next topic.
That's exactly right.
Great fucking segue. Yeah, we don't want to waste too much time on the anti-fob pieces of shit. We can talk about them later or whatever. And I'm a big fan of. I wanted to suit up and go to battle because the other thing I was thinking is that in Berkeley, if the cops don't give a shit if Antifa are throwing bricks and all that other kind of stuff, then it looks like we can defend ourselves in the process. If the cops are going to stand down, then I'm going to do what I can do to defend my countrymen.
Have you seen Bass Stickman? Also, his real name's Kyle Chapman.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was wearing a baseball helmet and some just kind of thrown together like sternum covering armor, and he had a stick. It was a flagpole basically, and a guy. They got encircled at one point, and they tried to charge him, and he just cracks that fucking stick over his head, and it was like the crack heard around the world.
Right. They're little cockroaches. They're fucking cowards.
Well, it's called the Black Bloc. Do you know how that works? So, okay, I shouldn't even know this fucking shit. I shouldn't have to know this shit, dude, right?
Right.
But they have a code system. There's some that'll have red bandanas. Those are the ones that'll get violent, okay? Then there's the green bandanas. And
people need to know this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Black Bloc is a concept where everyone dresses in pure black from head to toe, including the face covering handkerchief. Some will have like smart ass like skulls or rainbow face coverings just to show solidarity with all their trans people. But then they'll have these other insignias that dictate, okay, well, this guy will get violent. He's willing to get violent, potentially get arrested. This other person is just a smokescreen. So they send their women to the front, and many times the women are more aggressive than the men, but they'll have guys like Eric Clanton. What he was doing was reaching through. This is the bike lock attacker, by the way. If you guys Google this guy,
cheap shotting people in the head with bike
cracking people's skulls open.
Right. And he's a professor. He's a college professor.
Fucking professor.
A goddamn college professor who's taking cheap shots at people, masked with a bike lock, like cracking people's heads open.
And he had prior arrests. This guy is a piece of shit. He was arrested for assault and other things, drug arrests. But he would reach through and not just through the crowd, but where someone would there'd be two people side by side, and he would reach through their combined arms and crack guys in the head. And he disguised the bike lock in a beanie. So he had a hat.
Really?
Yes. It took serious analyzation of all the video there from all the different perspectives, because anytime a fight was going down, there'd be given at least 4 cameras on the shit from all 4 angles. Right. So, because Luke Radowski was there, Lauren Southern was there, Kyle Chapman was there. All these different libertarian and I guess you could say alt-right celebrities were there. And there was also people like Tim Pool. Are you familiar with Tim Pool?
I am not.
Wow, man, Timcast. He's a very impartial guy. He's a little left-leaning. His signature is he always wears the same beanie, and he always kind of looks the same when he goes out on the street. But he's just a really good guy. He does a lot of geopolitical stuff. He actually went to Sweden. Paul Joseph Watson, who's part of the InfoWars crowd, basically, he's a really, really funny guy. If you want to watch him, he's definitely going to trigger you if you're sensitive. But anyway, he put out a contest of let's send somebody to Sweden and see if this whole refugee epidemic is real there,
right? And
whether it is safe to walk around in places like Malmo. And I forget some of the other names of those districts where there was a huge
no-go zones.
The no-go zones, exactly, like the Somalian heavy population no-go zones. So he went there, and I'll be honest, I was kind of disappointed in him at first because it seemed like he was picking the path of least resistance while he was there, kind of dancing around, going to the very bad areas at bad times of night. But at the same time, he was carrying just a camera and with like 1 or 2 people as his entourage, so he was pretty ballsy for doing it. And he did get warned. He did do a lot of interviews, so he had people that would be interviewed there. A lot of them had to hide their identity.
Really?
Because get this, dude, if you're in Sweden and you criticize Islam,
you're racist.
They'll fucking arrest you, dude.
What?
Racist? That's funny. No, you'll be considered a threat when the actual entity, person, group that you're talking about are actually raping and killing people on a fucking. Did you know there's a grenade attack every week in Sweden now?
Really?
Grenade attack.
A grenade attack?
Google grenade attacks in Sweden.
Holy fuck!
It's insane.
And didn't rape go up by like 300% or
They're
something?
the rape capital of the West. They're second only to, I think, Mogadishu, Africa.
Wow.
I'm not fucking around.
Damn.
But when you import the very people that use rape as a kind of genocide in their own communities,
Right.
it's a cultural genocide.
Like rape as a genocide, as a punishment, almost
and
as like
as a propagation, like
Right.
Viking style, dude.
Yeah.
They'll go into your town, they'll machete your kids, they'll machete the guys in most cases, and then they'll rape the women and just co-opt these women as either slaves or bring them into their tribe as birthers / sex slaves. It's really heavy shit, man.
Wow. And they're importing them by the thousands.
By the tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands.
Dude, just Google the Italian transfer boats.
Yeah, I've seen that, and it's fucking frightening.
They actually have these boats that I mean, and even the boats themselves are basically just glorified tugboats. They're basically these floating, little tarmacs, and people will pile on them in Somalia. And then they'll come over here, and they'll once they get, the thing is, the real problem is once they get to Italian waters, they're in the EU, and the EU has rules about sovereignty that it's kind of open. It's just a free for all. If you get to Italian waters, you can go, and once you land on the beach of Italy or at the wharf or whatever, you can go anywhere in the EU.
Wow.
Because it's all part of this, this utopian, altruistic, good intention type, let's form a trade union,
Right.
and a transportation union in such a way that, you can hop on a train and go to France or go to Germany. You know what I mean? Like, you can get around and it's pretty cheap. And originally it was a
Which
great
is
idea.
amazing, and it's great to be
It
able to
is.
travel like that.
It's
but
excellent.
We have people that are taking full advantage of it now.
Oh, dude.
And their system of welfare, like that's set up to help.
They pay huge taxes. I think they pay like 55, 60%. taxes.
70.
In Sweden?
Yeah.
God damn.
No, I actually looked that up. Yeah, the 70% of their taxes, and the biggest problem, is that their tax money is mostly now going towards the welfare system, because
Yes.
the welfare system's money doesn't just come from anywhere; it comes from the people and from their pockets. Their welfare system is bankrupting the entire country. So they don't have. Before they're like, well, people that I know here would say, I'll pay 70% of my, 70% of my income for taxes is no problem, as long as I get free education, as long as I get free medical.
But it's
I'll just
not-
move to Sweden.
But by the
But
very
that's not happening anymore.
But by the very definition of what you're saying, it's not free.
It's not free, right?
Nothing's
They're
free.
like, oh, well, free education. They're taking 70% of your fucking income to do it. But now their education system is faltering. Their medical system is faltering because all of that money is going towards the welfare system. They said it costs something like $6 or $7 billion a year to support the welfare system now that all of the refugees are in there and taking full advantage of it. But they only get like a 1 point something billion dollars in taxes. So there's no way they can cover that much of a welfare system. So everybody's freaking out and the country's tanking.
You want to talk about
That's been true.
overuse of the welfare system?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, they're fucking giving, literally, there was an article, you can look this, I think it was in the UK Independent. They are giving driver's licenses to ex-ISIS fighters when they return
Shut
home.
the fuck
That's
up.
They're giving them sniper training.
What?
I'm not fucking around, dude. Google it. They are giving ISIS militants professional sniper training and licenses that are state funded. On top of that, the whole government in Sweden is run by feminists. Okay,
Yeah.
Total. If you look at their like secretaries of defense, it's like you wouldn't trust this bitch to defend your dog, let
Yeah.
alone your country. Like, oh, can you dog sit? You wouldn't even consider this bitch. In any case, they
She's in charge of the military.
they wear the hijabs and go, oh, we're so tolerant, we're so liberal. And at the same time, some of them that have supported this wholesale importation of a countercultural revolution against their own way of life, which is Western culture, which is, let's just say it, Christian, white, Anglo-Saxon
Sure.
Upbringing. They have wholesale imported these people that are polar opposite and frankly despise everything that they stand for, drinking alcohol,
Right.
all this shit. that their own communities that have imported these, South African and Middle Eastern folk, the feminists are now fleeing those areas. The very people that push the agenda and would have you arrested, would report your ass to the fucking cops, or maybe even the EU, if you were to say something mean on social media about those poor Mogadishan, Somalian rapists. Refugees is what a lot of people call them. Refugees, yeah.
Wow.
That they're now having to flee their own communities because they don't want to be unsafe in their own communities, but yet they'll tell you, oh, stop being such a bigot.
Right.
You're so intolerant.
But
Well,
isn't that
actually,
always what happens? Is once they flood the country and they fuck up, they take off,
Of course.
take
it
the
is.
money and run.
Go on, take the money.
Take
and
the money
run.
and run.
That's basically, I'll put it this way. What was the other thing about that? There was, I was going to say about Norway. In regards to taxes, Norway had this idea of let's create a voluntary tax fund.
I heard that. Yeah.
What do you think over the course of a year was contributed by these so-called, high taxation rate lefty socialists? What do you think they voluntarily contributed to this fund in a year?
Probably nothing, but not much, if anything.
$1,500.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did read about that.
$1,500.
$1,500.
That's nothing.
That's how much they care.
That's nothing. I think if I
They show they cared.
I think if I drove to Vancouver once a week and bought a pizza up there for a year, I'd pay more in fucking sales tax just by buying pizza out of state. Than
Absolutely.
they contributed willingly.
Right.
Now, granted, I don't know the context. I don't know whether they were like, this is what this is going towards. Because throwing money in a pit is never something people are like, fuck yeah, let me flush this down the toilet. Because essentially when you give money to the government like that, that's kind of
That's exactly what you're doing.
It's fucking flushing
Yeah,
money down the
my
toilet.
uncle, he was a politician. He's definitely a really conservative politician. But he always said, if you ever meet anybody who's a socialist, walk up to him and say, you first. You want to do socialism? Great. You first. You give me access to your bank account. You give me your money. I'll spend it for you. But you start the trend and see what happens. See which one of them actually wants to volunteer their home, volunteer their money, volunteer everything they have to the socialist agenda, which is amazing. So,
yeah, I've got a meme on my phone. Well, it's not really a meme. It's actually a post that this guy. I'm going to read it to you guys.
Cool.
Real quick. It's a really good red pill for people who have this altruistic idea of socialism and the concept of overtaxation. Because I'm not opposed to all taxes. I'm opposed to illegitimate taxes that are being used for things that we don't condone, we don't support.
sorry.
Thanks, appreciate that.
Excuse me.
You're good. It's called the $50 lesson. So it goes, I recently asked my friend's little girl what she wanted to be when she grows up. She said she wanted to be the president of the United States. Both of her parents, liberal Democrats, were standing there. So I asked her, if you were president, what would be the first thing you would do? And she replied, I'd give food and houses to all the homeless people. Her parents beamed. Wow, what a worthy goal, I told her. But you don't have to wait until you're president to do that. You can come over to my house and mow the lawn, pull the weeds, and sweep my driveway, and I'll pay you $50. Then I'll take you over to the grocery store where the homeless guy hangs out, and you can give him the $50 to use toward food and a new house. She thought that over for a few seconds. Then she looked me straight in the eye and asked, why doesn't the homeless guy come over and do the work, and you can just pay him the $50? And I said, welcome to the Republican Party.
That's right.
Her parents still aren't speaking to me.
Nice.
So,
Dude, that is a great fucking meme.
it really is, and it because it's hard to put that kind of concept into
It just makes
plain speech.
right, exactly.
It's just hard.
And I think so. That's a great segue. We're going to segue before, but now we get to segue into something else. So what we're going to segue into is the homeless crisis that we're facing right now in Portland.
Yeah.
And I will preface it by saying I personally was homeless when I first got to Portland. I lived on the streets. I didn't have anywhere else to go. I slept underneath the Hawthorne Bridge on some pallets and some cardboard. You would basically take pallets that you would find in some construction areas and stuff around the
free
area.
pallets. They put free pallets out all the time.
Yeah, so you grab pallets, and I was taught this by a man who had been living on the streets for quite some time.
We got to talk to OGs.
Yeah, he made it like a lifestyle, and the only reason he did that is because he was so gruff, and he was so hard for anyone else to get along with, and he got kicked out of every program in Portland. Every single program that would help you get off your feet.
I like that guy.
Yeah, I did too, man. His name was Dan. Dan,
the man.
I called him Captain Dan because he was so fucking gruff. He had a mustache. He talked like this. We go into places to get something to eat. He get kicked out for being in a fight with somebody because he just didn't take shit from anybody.
He's just abrasive. It sounds like
Very abrasive.
guys like sandpaper.
Yeah, like on sandpaper.
Oof.
Like just like his sparks would be starting or whatever. He was so fucking abrasive.
Like you'd compliment him and be like, "I'm old. Fuck you."
Yeah, get out of here, man. I don't talk. Guys would. Guys would be like, "Hey, man, nice shoes." What? I don't know you. What the fuck are you talking? Don't
Trying
talk
to steal my shoes, motherfucker.
They're like, I like fart
Oh
noises.
my god.
He'd be like, "Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you. I'll kill you." Okay, and how him and I met. It's so funny. He and I met in the craziest way possible. And I won't go to that story now because I don't want to take too much time. But for some reason, him and I got along. And it was because of our belief, and not so much a religion, but in God. And I don't know if you're an atheist or agnostic.
No, that's
I definitely don't want to
perfectly
get
okay.
into that.
It's okay, man.
We can definitely debate that some other time.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I ran into him purely by chance. It was the first night I was going to be homeless. I had no idea where I was going to go. No idea what I was going to do.
Terrified.
It was terrifying. And I just ran into this guy at fucking Burger King. I asked, it was
Have it
him.
your way.
Yeah.
That's a bad joke.
That's my way. I'll shit it out.
Number 2.
Give me a burger. With fries. And so there's two guys. And I asked the guy sitting next to him, they didn't know each other, but he was sitting in a different booth outside or on the table or whatever, if I could have one of his cigarettes. And the guy's like, "Oh no." And Dan's like, What? You want a cigarette?" And I was like, "No, I'm not talking to you, man." He's like, "Oh, fine, fuck you."
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then somehow 20 minutes later we started talking. And then he's like, we started talking about God.
Interesting.
We got along great. Next thing you know, he's like, so after like an hour of talking to this man who is abrasive and doesn't get along with anybody.
According to who though? I mean, where are you hearing this? Just from walking around with him?
Oh yeah, no, from
okay.
personally knowing him.
Oh, okay.
No, nobody told me about him because nobody really knew him. Like
There's not a homeless bulletin. Watch out for this guy. He might
Look out for
sneak
Dan.
into your sleeping bag.
Actually, no, he was one of the most honest, hardworking, and had so much fucking integrity. He refused to beg. He refused to fly a sign. If we were out of money and we wanted to get booze or something, he took me and we walked around and we went to a tire shop and he went and asked the guys at the tire shop, "Can I clean your garbage area? Is there anything I can do for you guys to make some money?"
Yeah.
He would work for it.
That's a badass guy.
Yeah.
At first I was like, I was kind of joking, like I like
No,
this
sure.
guy, but now I really like this guy.
I did, and I really had a lot of respect for him, even though he could be a real dick.
Yeah.
But so we start talking and he's like, "Are you going to be homeless?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I am." And he's like, "All right, well, you can come over and camp over here with us." The other thing you kind of watch out for on the streets are predatory homosexuals. Who see
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
We're going there. Okay, yeah, right on.
But
No,
it's
I
true.
get it. No, I know.
I'm not
dude,
saying
yeah.
all homeless people are predatory homosexuals, but a predatory
There
homosexual will not tell you he was gay. He will make you believe that he's a masculine man or he's just a buddy or just a friend.
I get you.
And at the right moment, he'll try to do
Slip it
something.
in.
Yeah, he'll try to
God
do some
damn.
kind of a homosexual thing to you. And you got to be careful.
That's a prison thing, right?
It is, but it's also a street thing.
Damn.
Yeah, it's definitely
Where
a
does
street
this
thing.
culture of bufu evolve on the street organically, son?
Because it's perversion.
Aren't there girl homeless people? I know they're fewer.
Well, there's a difference. Well, there's not a lot of women that you can have sex with on the streets, and even if you were
Yeah,
going
I
to,
guess you're
can you
right.
imagine? Actually, no, I did have homeless sex. Wow, I did that
God,
on acid. Yeah, it was
that's
actually
insane.
it was great. The
epic,
girl wasn't
man.
that great, but like we did it in the back of her SUV, and that's where she lived, and like
That's hot.
it was like a step up from sleeping on a fucking
Literally
crate
a
with
step
cardboard
up. Did
stuff.
you have to step up into the SUV? That's funny as fuck.
I had to step up into it.
Oh my God.
But where's I going with that? Oh yeah, so I don't know this guy. I don't know where he's taking me, but he just seemed like such a gruff character that I could trust. And the fact that I really believe that fate, God, the universe, whatever, led me to this person because he goes, well, if you're gonna be homeless, I'll show you where to get blankets. I'll show you where to sleep. Me and the other people are over here underneath the bridge. Is right across the street from Burger King. I'll show you how to take showers and stuff for free. I'll show you where to get your laundry done for free. I'll show you. He said, just because you're homeless doesn't mean you have to look like it. I was like, wow.
That's dope, man. I like that.
And for our site where we were camping, quote unquote, we cleaned every day. Every morning we would wake up, we would sweep the area, we'd take all the trash, we'd take our bedding and put it all behind this like staircase. So you wouldn't even know we were there. That's the
really
difference.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's the difference between how I was taught to be homeless and how the new homeless population explosion
I
is.
think we need to draw the line between squatters and the homeless.
Yeah.
And also
or creating a fucking junkyard on the sidewalk, on a public sidewalk, and nobody doing anything about it.
I get some of these people are schizophrenic and they act like crows. Any piece of trash they put in their little shopping cart and it's now their trash.
I've seen
have to have it.
Yeah, I was in the Southeast Industrial District. I'm talking like a 20 yards, like 10 to 20 yards.
That's where I see the worst of it, by the way. That's where I see the worst.
Was all trash, old bicycle parts, shopping carts. I mean, we're talking like a fucking
stolen
junkyard.
Shit.
Yeah, all on the sidewalk. And nobody's doing anything about it. Like, they're just letting him fucking do it. Like, I'm blown away.
They're not all bubbles from Trailer Park. They're not fixing the carts and
not at all
pushing them back to the stores and selling them back to the managers.
It's tweaker central. Only it's like these tweakers are just like collecting anything and everything. It's garbage. And literally, it's not just like a little tiny spot on the sidewalk. It's the entire fucking sidewalk. You can't even walk on it. And they're walking around like, because I'm homeless, you owe me this. Because I'm homeless, I don't have a home. I deserve to put trash all over your neighborhood.
I don't think entitlement and homelessness really go hand in hand,
right,
folks.
And it makes me sick. It's like an excuse.
It is
to be degenerate and so my mom. I worked my way out of the streets.
Good for you.
I had to stop drinking. I had to stop whatever I was doing because the place that I went to stay in, it was a no drug, no drinking tolerance policy, period.
The camp that this gentleman invited you to?
No, we got drunk and high all the time in that place.
Oh, word up.
Yeah, no, we were alcoholics.
But yet you cleaned up. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, every morning we get up and clean up. He was like an alcoholic, but he was very strict.
I know people like that.
Yeah,
they're called high functioning alcoholics.
Sure, yeah. He was one of those people that wouldn't drink till like the evening. I got to the point where I just wanted to drink all day because I was so depressed with where I was at.
I hear you, man.
Yeah, and my feet had been wet for like 2 weeks. The bottoms of my feet were like peeling off. It was like jungle,
it was because it was during a rainy part of the year.
Yeah. The very first day I ever stepped foot in Portland, I'll never forget. I stepped off. I was leaving a ghetto, and that's why I was running. And
where were you coming from when you got to Portland?
North California.
Oh, wow.
Is where I was coming from. And I lived in one of the worst ghettos in Sacramento for like 6 months.
Oof.
I was the only white guy. It was awful.
That's some hood ass fucking
It was
areas,
fucking hood. Like, it was like the nastiest hood in Sacramento.
Garden block Crips and shit.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Odeya Street. Like, it was funny because I ran into this black couple who were in line to get something to eat. When I worked the door at this soup kitchen building. It was called Blanchet House of Hospitality.
Oh, nice.
It's got a gigantic brand new building downtown now. Okay. We lived in the old brick building, and it had been going since like 1910 or something like that. So I would stand outside and I would click people in. I would count people in to get food. Right. There was a black couple that was in line. And they were like, I was like, hey, where are you coming from? We started talking, they were like, oh, we're coming from Sacramento. I was like, oh, really? I was like, I just came from Sacramento. And they were like, where at? And I was like, oh, Odeya Street. And they were like, oh, shit. Really? Is like, yeah, my cousin just got murdered there last year. There was like 2 or 3 people killed on that street in like a week.
You were saying your cousin got killed there, or they were saying?
They were, yeah.
I bet,
because people got murdered. The reason I left there is because there was a running gun battle at 3. Well, there's a lot of reasons I left there. But one of the biggest reasons is I had to lay on the floor because literally right outside of my window was like a 15-minute long like gun battle. Like...
That's pretty good sound effects.
Thank you. I actually got some of those machine gun effects on here somewhere.
That's good. You did a better job.
Thank you. And it was a drive-by gone wrong.
Oh, God.
Oh, wait, that's not it.
They were flatulating on each other out the window.
There was a man. He was murdered trying to do a drive-by.
He shot himself.
He never got a chance to go to college. And it's all your fault because you're white. Anyways, but there was a drive-by.
I want reparations. I didn't do nothing.
That's right. And so a guy got killed in the SUV. The guy driving was arrested or ran off, but the SUV was left on the sidewalk with a dead body in it till like 1 p.m. the next day. They didn't take the body away. The next day, I mean, we heard the gun battle, and then the police showed up. I had to call the cops at one point.
Jeez.
I'm sure somebody else did because I'm just listening to this gun battle. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but we have to call the police. The police didn't show up for an hour. An hour after we called.
They were putting that. They were drawing straws for 45 minutes.
I'm sure.
You realize that?
Yeah, I'm sure they were busy with all sorts of shit.
They've probably gotten to the point where they're like, okay, we're gonna play a fucking game of Yahtzee.
Sure.
And the winner of the best of 3 games got to go to Odeo's.
We're gonna play craps on it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna play craps on it. It's all a bunch of
We're gonna bet. And they showed up an hour late, and most of the night they were arresting people. And then the next day, I get up, and the little Hispanic kids. My whole community. I was a manager of apartments.
Oh, okay.
And my whole community was pretty much Mexican. But I have to say, they were some of the greatest tenants I ever had because they worked, they paid rent, they didn't clean up, they were kind of dirty, but
Yeah.
there was like trash everywhere, but they were
Swing and a miss.
Yeah. Oops, sorry. But I loved it. They were the best people that I possibly could have been a manager for. That's who I had.
That's good.
Yeah, and their children were running around playing, and they're like, manager, manager, manager. And I was like, what? And he's like, there's a dead body over there. I was like, what? Still?
Hey, you kids want to see a dead body? Some fucked up shit.
Pull your pants down. No, it's and you kids want to see his dead.
It's like an Elvis impersonator, a really bad one.
Yeah. So anyways, they left the body there. I decided to leave. I came to Portland. I brought my bad habits with me.
Okay.
I actually had a great chance to get up off the streets. It was another God thing. I fucked up my opportunity. I'll go into that story some other day.
That's another day.
I ended up getting a job like a week after I got to Portland, which is amazing, at a plaid pantry. And,
yeah, baby.
I got fired within 3 days because
Oh wow, you smell bad.
you can't get fired from the plaid for smelling bad. Trust me on that one.
Word to your motherfucker.
Oh yeah, we've seen guys at the plaid pantry here, and
oh dude,
I don't think you can get fired for damn near anything at the plaid pantry.
Dude,
and I managed to get fired.
Surly there, bro.
They are. They're
surly.
because they don't care. They're not gonna get fired.
Of course they don't
for
give a
anything.
fuck. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to be cordial. You know.
Right.
I love when Gavin McInnes was like, he's like, I like to. What the fuck did he say? He's like, I like to chit chat, or he had a different euphemism for it. He's like, with everybody, but he's like. These cab drivers, I can't hold a fucking conversation with them. They've been here for 6 years and they can't even speak English yet. And it's like, what the fuck is this?
Well, some of them have been here for their entire life.
Yeah, exactly.
But I won't go off on that tangent.
Yeah.
So, long story short, I ended up here. I was homeless, and Dan, after 3 weeks of me sleeping on the streets, he comes up and he's like, this is not for you. This is not who you are, and you need to work your way off of the streets. I don't want to see this for you anymore.
Good for him.
Yeah. And I was like, well, thanks, man. He's like, so you're going to go to the Blanche House of Hospitality. You're going to go to this other place. You're going to work there I talked to them already. They said they want you to come on in.
So this guy put his neck out there and got you jobs at a couple different spots.
He kept me alive on the street. He kept me, because it was a wintertime. I got there in October or something like that. It was just turning into wintertime.
Dire straits.
The first thing I stepped in, when I was walking around in Portland, the first day I got off the train in Portland, didn't know where to go. I had spent most of my money on, alcohol and bullshit. And, I went to Mary's Club and got a burrito and gave tips to a stripper. This is all the money I had to like get myself an apartment.
So you're just being stupid.
I was an idiot, a big fucking idiot. Because I didn't know, had never been homeless. I had never actually had consequences to my actions like that because and the reason I left Sacramento is because I no longer wanted to infect my family with my sickness or with my, I was fucking up all over the place. And family, come here and live here. Here, we'll help you. We do. And I didn't want that to happen any longer because I was tired of affecting them in a negative way. So I said, I'm going to Portland.
At least they were there for you, though.
Oh, yeah, they were. But, I was tired of being there, a negative aspect to their life.
I hear you, man.
So I left and went to a place where I had to help me, period, or I wasn't going to make it.
Yeah.
So after 2 or 3 weeks of being homeless, Dan was like, you need to clean up your act. You need to get in this place. The Blanche House of Hospitality, you get there, you volunteer 8 hours for the first day.
Okay.
Actually, 3 days. I'm sorry. You go there and you volunteer 8 hours a day for 3 days. On the third day, if they like you and they want you to work there, they'll move you into the house.
That's the trial period.
Right.
And that's pretty commonplace.
Right. But the hardest thing I had to do was stop drinking because Dan and I would drink every night. if not every day. And I had to quit like cold turkey because at the Blanchet House of Hospitality, you can walk down the street and get a burrito, come back half an hour later, and you have to take a breathalyzer test. Like they are so fucking strict. And they do random drug tests. So you can't smoke weed. You can't do anything like that because you will get caught eventually. So I ended up volunteering. They liked me. They moved me into the house. And I'll never forget the first day they moved me into the house, they took me downstairs, and there's a couple other guys that were going to be moved into, and they had a basement, and it was like chicken wire in like this caged in area.
Okay.
And they had hundreds of pairs of Nikes, brand new fucking pairs of Nikes.
Word?
And they let you go in there and you got to pick out your brand new pair of shoes.
Holy fuck. Were those donated by Nike?
Yeah.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, and my it's where you're talking about the multinational companies
Being charitable.
Yeah. And I walked in, and my feet had been in these soaking wet Vans because I didn't know what the fuck Portland was like. So I had skater shoes, and I stepped in a puddle when I first got to Portland that had either some dead rat or poop or vomit
serious,
or all of those combined in this puddle. And when I stepped in it, it locked onto my shoe. So even if I washed my shoes or I sprayed them with something, you could still smell this horrific fucking smell coming from those shoes. And they were constantly wet. So I got these black Nike boots. I didn't even know Nike made boots.
Yeah, I've seen those and I've tried them on.
Yeah.
The ones I tried were kind of uncomfortable, but go ahead.
Mine, they were like the most comfortable shoes I'd ever had in my life.
Man. Are they like low top boots? Like mid,
no, they were high
top.
top.
High top?
Or mid top. Yeah, they were mid top black
for
Nike
boots. Because
yeah.
when I think high top boots, I'm thinking full lace up.
Yeah, like goose stepping and
goose step. Yeah, no, like UP. It just
like
makes me
real
think,
Nazis.
It makes me think of UPS because I worked there for a long time, and it's
oh
not
wow,
like, it's not like you
UPS.
had to wear. You basically just had to have leather shoes with no open toes.
Right.
And they didn't require steel toes or the composite toes. But it was a fucking good idea. I did it for drop, quite a few heavy things on my feet.
Steel toes hurt, man. Those are some of the most uncomfortable shoes I've ever
They do.
worn.
They're just so stiff. They don't move with your foot really.
They require them. The place I'm working now, they require us to wear those, even though maybe something that weighs like a quarter of an ounce could like drop on your toe or something like that. But
it's because
and it never does.
It's because some motherfucker just dropped something really light on his toe.
Of course.
And then sued him.
Some ridiculous bullshit.
That's how it works.
Right. But I guess the moral of my story is I had to work my way off the streets, and it was the hardest thing I think I've ever had to do.
Giving up the alcohol part of the work.
Giving up the alcohol. You work 6 days a week, 8 hours a day.
Oof.
You had to be up at 5 in the morning every day because you had to be downstairs at 5:30 and ready to work in the kitchen.
Okay.
It was not easy work.
Okay.
The coolest thing about it though is that when you go from eating in a soup kitchen to serving in a soup kitchen, there's like a line that you step over because you go from the homeless, needing help to serving people. There's something about it, man, that just changes your entire mentality as soon as you do that.
I've served homeless people on Thanksgiving and stuff. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, if you're going from eating in that soup kitchen and being served
it's a paradigm shift, man.
Yeah,
it's
to serving in that kitchen, your morale goes up. Everything about you just changes almost overnight. It just feels it's incredible. But the guys who ran the Blanchet House of Hospitality were the biggest assholes, like at first, because they deal with all sorts of fucked up personalities. And most of the guys who lived in the Blanchet House of Hospitality were pissed off and assholes because they didn't want to quit drinking. They weren't going to AA meetings. They weren't trying to better themselves. They just had to quit drinking so they could live there. So they were just fucking mean and assholes and mad because they wanted to drink. They wanted to do drugs. They just couldn't. So the management,
they're making Pruno, right?
Yeah. No, some guys actually drank in. They figured out that if we drink in our rooms in the building, they're not going to breathalyze us because you only get breathalyzed when you leave and come back again.
Smart.
They ended up getting kicked out anyways. But
well, of course.
Yeah, because they were drinking beer in the room and you could smell the beer everywhere. And now that's stupid. And if you're getting drunk on a regular basis, you're going to get sloppy.
You're just a tab crack. Like, they've got like you ever heard of shot spotters like around the city where they detect gunshots? So imagine beer tab spotter.
Yeah.
We got a beer on section forwarding A.
That's funny.
That motherfucker's drinking.
Yeah. So I actually got kicked out of that house. I was there for 30 days and some homeless guy in line said, oh yeah, I got the total thing, man. You can go off and you can drink, and then you just stop drinking for a couple of hours, and when you come back, alcohol dissipates out of your system, and you'll pass the breathalyzer.
Never trust a random bum on the
That
street
was
for
so
health
fucking
advice.
stupid. Yeah, and I did. Well, I wanted to drink so bad, and I wanted to like go out and party and be, woo, alcohol.
And how old were you at the time?
Oh, this is I got here 9 years ago, so it was about 30, 31 or 32, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe it's less than that. Jesus. And so I decided I went out and I would, and so you couldn't work anywhere else because you're already working at the Blanchet House of Hospitality.
Yeah.
They gave you all the food you could handle. People donated clothes, so you had clothes, you had your shoes, you had everything you possibly
So
needed.
you're looking good.
Yeah, you're looking good. You're getting fed well. I actually got fat because you eat. There's so much food you get to eat. Upstairs, there's always cookies and pies
Was it
and all
good
sorts
food?
of other stuff.
Was it good food?
Oh, it's delicious. Yeah.
Who was providing the food? I'm curious.
It's from all over the place actually, and
Local
Trader
farms?
Joe's.
Trader
Yeah.
Joe's.
So Trader
Trader
Joe's would take, or New Seasons would take boxes and boxes of food that weren't perfect, that were dated,
get it, yeah.
quote unquote.
Yeah, yeah.
We'd go to Trader Joe's, we'd pick up all the vegetables and anything they had, bring it back to the house. You'd sift through it, toss out all the stuff that's not good. So they wouldn't cook garbage. They cooked 4-course fucking meals.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and the running joke was when I was counting people in, I would stand out in front of this place with a clicker, and I'd say 2, please, and somebody in the soup kitchen would be like 4, and I'd be like 4, please. Somebody would be like 6, please. 1, please. So people would go in and go out. And that's how they controlled the flow. But the homeless would be like, hey, what's for dinner tonight? And I'd be like, oh, it's like chicken a l'orange and like, steamed vegetables with this and that and Marionberry pie for dessert. And they'd be like, no, gross. I don't want that. I don't want chicken. They're serving steak down the street. Come on, guys, let's go get steak. And I'll like take off.
Are you fucking serious?
Dead serious.
I'm sorry, but it sounds pretty dank right now.
Well, what the
All that
reason that
stuff.
we're having the homeless crisis,
That's what I'm wondering, yeah.
I read up on all these different news reports about it.
Okay.
And they're trying to say, and I'm sure this is a reason that it's going up, but they're trying to say because of housing prices going up, people are getting kicked out of their rentals because people who own the properties are kicking them out of the rental because they want to.
Very common.
Yeah, and they want to increase the rent, which is a problem in my opinion. People who own the houses are kicking them out of the houses because they want to sell them off. Now the housing values are so high.
It's a seller's market.
It is, and it's business. That's that. It's their choice. But then the people who get kicked out of these houses that they've been paying rent on for the last 10 years can't afford to rent somewhere else because the housing prices are through the roof. So they're buying mobile homes and RVs to put their kids in or whatever. That is not, in my opinion, have anything to do with the homeless explosion, the homeless population explosion that we're having here in Portland. The reason I think we're having an explosion of the homeless is because they can eat 6 or 8 places a day. They can get clothing
You
anywhere.
are so right.
You can get shoes anywhere.
I've thought about this for...
Yeah, and
yeah.
and the mayor, being the fucking genius he is, makes
Fuck
it.
Ted Wheeler.
Yeah, he makes it legal to camp anywhere in the city.
He did that?
Yeah.
When? With what? An executive? Did the public vote on it? Did the public get
I
a
don't
voice?
know. We'd have to
I
read up
highly
on that.
fucking doubt that
Right.
shit.
Homeless people were even complaining about that because they were saying now the public's really going to be pissed. And the people who are like, say, the right to live.
There's going to be open resentment against homeless people, even from the liberals.
I resent the fuck out of them right now.
I don't blame you. I mean, that's
I'm so
perfectly-
angry about what's happening to Portland. They're
Yeah.
destroying Portland, in my opinion, because everywhere you look now, there's in any freeway overpass,
I
and
seen
it's
it,
not just
dude.
downtown; it's all over the place. Now there's like homeless encampments and little homeless towns popping up everywhere.
Well, remember they were supposed to allocate that large chunk of property right on the waterfront. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
on the Willamette or the Columbia. You know,
Well,
before the-
across the street from the
Yeah.
Moto Center, they're going to put
Yeah,
the right
dude.
to live people too across the fucking street from the Moto Center.
Okay, now that's I didn't know it was gonna be there. That's
Yeah.
just fucking stupid.
Somebody was like, "Oh, well, they're finally moving that squatter village that's downtown on Burnside right now," and I'm like, "Oh, good." So people are going to drive into downtown Portland and see a squatter village? Like, oh, we're so accepting and we're so loving of our fellow human that we're just going to let squatters squat
This ain't
wherever the
fucking
fuck they want.
Hurricane Katrina, son.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't put the fucking squatters right across from where people want to go watch Blazers games.
Correct.
Like, get the fuck out of here.
And-
Think about how many opposing teams fans come into town every fucking week when it's
Right.
basketball season. And
Can you
see
believe it?
A bunch of degenerate motherfuckers. They're not even playing those. They're not even cute. They're not playing those 5-gallon buckets trying to raise some money. They're
Correct.
They're pooping in their hand and fucking wiping their hair with it or some shit. You know?
No, my sons and I went and saw a play because there's playhouses in Chinatown, and we had a great time. But I took them to get pizza from Dante's, and Dante's is right on.
I've had the Dante's pizza. It's
yeah,
pretty
Dante's
good.
Pizza
Yeah.
is right there on Burnside. So I'm like, hey guys, let's go get some pizza. You know, and they're
feel
like,
ya.
cool, Dad. We're walking over to Dante's, and in every single
Little nook.
door opening and nook,
Yeah.
there's some guy drunk off his fucking ass.
Oh yeah.
There's piss, urine, like puddles of urine draping, like, you know, cascading out of each doorway because they're pissing all over the goddamn doorways. And there's smoking, there's weed smoke everywhere. Now, I'm a big advocate of legal marijuana.
Hell
Trust
yeah.
me on that. But this was not an appropriate time or a place, in my opinion, for them to be partaking. So they're getting absolutely fucked
Well, it's
up.
public intoxication.
Correct.
We would get you and me, dude. If I
get
took
arrested.
if I took a motherfucking piss in a doorway, even if it was in the most dilapidated fucking area of Portland, a cop sees me, I'm fucking done.
Absolutely.
I'm getting thrown in the fucking drunk tank, even if I'm not drunk, because it's gonna be like, well, clearly you're publicly intoxicated, peeing.
Right.
And I'd be like, no, sir, breathalyze me. Fuck that. Let's just throw you in the drunk tank. I've heard of stories like that. All
Absolutely.
The time. All the
Yet
time.
these guys can do it without repercussion and repercussions. Sorry.
Yeah.
And so the boys and I, so we go to Dante's. The other thing I see is right in front of the Right to Live 2 place, there is this altercation between a crackhead lady and this crackhead guy, and the guy is beating the shit out of her.
Holy fuck.
And none of the homeless people around them are doing anything to stop it. I'm not going to run over there and
Did you see
abandon
any
my
popcorn?
kids to
Did you see
try
any
and
popcorn?
popcorn. What do you mean popcorn? Is that like a term? Or
I just meant, did you see anybody eating popcorn
Oh
watching
no!
the fight? Yeah, the
no,
homeless people were
nobody's
just
eating.
like,
I think you mean
they're
crack
ready to-
cocaine.
Yeah, popcorn.
Popcorn. Yeah, no, I didn't see that, but I did see that just people just letting it happen. One guy stepped in, he's like, "Hey man, you need to stop doing that, man." But this guy was beating this woman up. So we saw domestic violence. We saw drug use. We saw
public
alcohol use.
urination.
We saw public urination, and that's in like 2 or 3 blocks. Just trying to go get some pizza.
That's pretty good.
And I'm wondering what the fuck is
Hey,
going
man,
on.
Hey man, keep Portland weird.
That's right. Yeah, but by Portland being weird, we need to make sure that. I like how you laugh every time we do that. I love that sound. But so there's some homeless guy. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna stand in this doorway, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm gonna take
shit
a
against
shit
the
right
wall.
here. And I'm like, you know
I
what?
don't
Fuck
know
you.
who owns this business,
That's
but he
right.
sucks.
I'm gonna fucking kick your ass.
Right on the fucking wall.
He's like, nobody will let me take a piss wherever I want, and I cannot smoke marijuana and drink in this alleyway without being harassed.
You poor baby.
Fuck you. You fucking goddamn homeless. So
Oh, goddamn.
right. So I'm not against homeless people per se. I was there, and I was treated like I was a piece of paper, and I was not a real human
But
being.
what did the guy who kind of held your hand through the whole process? He's like, let's clean up our area.
He cleaned
during the
up.
day
He actually got
because
sober.
We're publicly
Correct.
degenerates to the other common people wanting to go about their day, and I don't mean degenerates in the literal sense. I
Right,
just
but you're
mean,
treated like it. Yeah.
They're just gonna assume if I see one guy smoking crack while he's taking a piss against the side of a building,
Yes.
everybody's like that.
Right.
Every homeless person's like that, and I don't ever accuse everybody who's homeless to be a fucking drunk. But let's just be honest, it's the fucking vast majority.
Well, I know from experience now, a huge percentage, like 60%, it's because of drugs and alcohol, period.
Oh yeah.
There's another 30% that are on the streets, though, because of the mental institutions being shut down.
That is some scary shit. And
That is very scary.
And you know that actually happened in Wilsonville too, right?
Yeah, well, we got a homeless camp that's not like a mile
The
from
whole
here.
Villebois thing.
Sure.
They basically kicked out a group home, or they made it smaller. They didn't destroy it. They just made it a lot smaller.
Mm-hmm.
But those people are wandering around Villebois often, and I've heard of a lot of not like serious altercations, but things where it's like cops have to be called because the person's screaming about
Sure.
whatever. Lucifer,
Well, they're
Jesus.
mentally unstable. We don't know
big
where they're
time.
from. We don't know what goes on in their mind. But I know they walk past the house on a regular basis trying to get to the fucking downtown. I'm not against the person, and I want these people to get medical attention. I want these people to have a place to go.
Yeah.
But Bukowski had a poem called "Born Into This," and one of the things he said is, "When the mental institutions are closed and the jails are full." That's genius. Yeah, we're going
Low
pretty
battery.
long. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
low,
okay.
Low laptop battery.
Okay.
Sharp
Yeah,
plug that.
I'll get a plug for that.
Okay.
But anyways, we cannot solve the homeless crisis by giving them more food. We cannot solve the homeless crisis by building more housing and putting up more beds. I read and one of the articles that I read said they put out 100 more beds. They've built more. They wanted to build a gigantic complex that could fit thousands of homeless in it. What do you think that place would be like? Oh my God, that would be a fucking nightmare.
Like the Superdome during Katrina.
Correct. Yes.
Some crazy shit.
Yeah, you cannot fix the problem by giving them more stuff.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but we have to say,
it's-
no, you cannot live here any longer, or you'll have to find a way to live here the way the rest of us do, by working, paying taxes, and being a contributing part of society. You don't necessarily have to agree with everything society does. You know what I mean? We're not like that at all. There's all sorts of bitches and stuff that I have about everything, but I know what I need to do to feed my kids and to be housed and all that stuff. I'm not going to sit there on the street and bitch and complain that the world's such a hard and unfair place. Therefore, I just have to sit here and do drugs and drink and stuff and bitch about the community while they give me everything.
If you want to leave society, there was a really good story about the last hermit, and I think this guy was living in Vermont or Maine, somewhere where it gets really fucking cold. That's all I know. It's on the East Coast, and he was a very I wouldn't call him not a nuisance in certain ways, because he would artfully break into vacation cabins during the winter when he
I read about him.
You read about him.
Correct, yeah.
Exactly. And he lived out in those woods for, I think, like 12 or 15 years.
With no human contact. I think it was even longer than that.
And if you saw his little camp, it was actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
He had camouflaged it.
Yep.
He had a little trash barrel, a little burn barrel. He had all these different cool things. And some of the people that the houses he would break into, they would actually leave food on the doorknob.
Right.
But this guy was so smart and also so reclusive and so untrusting of the general populace, which, I can't really blame him. He would assume that the people had poisoned the shit.
Oh,
so
yeah.
he would still break in and take the shit from the actual fridge. He'd be like, nah, I'd leave the food.
But they said he actually cleaned up after himself.
Oh, he was very polite. He was
Very meticulous and made sure everything was
invader.
Yeah, he would even lock the doors again.
Oh yeah, no, he was a very okay. He had to do what he had to do, but he also did what he wasn't required to do by the definition of, like, I'm a home invader / burglar. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna.
Right.
It's not like the guys from Home Alone that fucking flood your basement after they rob your ass. Like, we're the wet bandits. Like, no, he wasn't like, I'm the wet fucking hermit. No, he's like, I'm gonna just
smear shit on the wall.
Paint his name in semen on your couch. No, he wasn't a crazy guy. He just really truly believed that his destiny was to be highly isolated, reading his favorite poetry and philosophy novels out in the middle of bumfuck. That was his thing, and I can't knock the guy, but
he still couldn't sustain himself without other people, though. I guess, right? Because he had to steal other people's stuff.
I'll put it this way: he took the easy way out on that regard, because he could have fucking learned how to do the Indian technique of burying fish. And
I agree.
Shit.
Yeah.
And actually, because if you want to talk about people who can survive anywhere, there's nomadic people in Siberia or Alaska,
right,
that have gone completely off grid.
Yeah,
and by off grid, I mean they want milk, they go milk the fucking cow.
Totally self-sustaining. Yeah,
they want a fire, they got to go chop the wood and hopefully find dry wood.
Right,
it's very grueling, and they've built their houses by hand in many cases, which is very cool. I think all that's very cool. I think that's about as raw humanity, crystallized, like badass humanity as you can get, essentially.
I agree.
But yes, in regards to the homeless problem, I don't think that I think these people could be self-sufficient if they didn't succumb so much to this idea that I'm an outcast, and obviously this does not apply to everyone, but I'm an outcast. Because a lot of people choose this lifestyle too. That's the other thing. A lot of people aren't forced into it. You in a roundabout way kind of put yourself in that position.
Oh no, absolutely.
Choose it, but 100%. Like, I guess I'm homeless now. Even when the guy
Right.
asked you a point blank question, you were like, I guess I am. I need a
Exactly.
place to sleep tonight. Like,
I completely
it hit
take
you right
full
then and
responsibility
there.
for
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that every single and I had a chance not to be homeless before that. And every single action that I did wound up put me where I was at. So,
Yeah.
and I had to take responsibility or was not going to change. I can't sit
Yeah.
around blaming everybody else for my fucking for the problems I caused myself.
You've seen the movie and or read the book Into the Wild, yeah.
Oh yeah, I like that book a
Okay,
lot.
that's a very good story in relationship to this, because I actually used to romanticize being a hobo because it's kind of American.
I do right now.
It's Americana.
I actually fantasize about that all the time.
Do you
Right
re-
now.
Do you really?
Yes.
I
I want to. I want to be like a modern hobo.
But with the bindle stick, with the white and
Nah, not so much a bindle
no,
stick, but
no
I want to be
bindle stick?
nomadic. I want to travel all the time.
well, nomadic or no, is it nomadicy? How do you what's the
Nomadicism?
plural of nomadicy? Yeah, okay.
Lucifer.
Yeah, of course. Hail Satan! I want to hail Satan everywhere I go.
You're all, hail Satan.
No,
Thank you. Thank you.
Satan.
Satan.
$100,000 pyramid. Well, yeah, but I think that I have the same desire. I'd love to travel. I think I'm reserving that for like age 30, something like. Early
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, you're not even 30 yet. That's
No,
right.
I'm lucky,
God
man.
damn, you're intelligent.
Well, thank you.
That's great.
I
No,
appreciate
well,
that.
someday, I actually it was on National Geographic or something, but it was a special about guys who so it starts out with a guy on a train. He's all dirty, ripped up clothes, obviously homeless,
Okay.
in a train car. The train finally kind of stops somewhere. He hops off. He walks down the tracks for a while, and then he ends up walking up to this big, beautiful home. Yeah, I got to plug that in. And it turns out there's a whole movement of men these days who have homes, who have jobs, who have plenty, who are rich, who go out and act like hobos for like a couple of months and then come home. And that's what they do. Like, that's how they go out and travel. I don't know if that sounds crazy or wacky or weird, but I thought that's pretty fucking awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I met a guy like
just
that.
for a quick news flash, local news flash. My wife just messaged me and she said that you're familiar with Pat's Acres, right? The go-kart place. It's on fire right now.
What?
I shit you not, bro. I wouldn't interrupt for anything.
No,
less.
where's it at? I mean, what?
I don't know what kind of fire we're talking about right now, but I mean, when I drive home, I'm going to drive past Pat's
Are you
Acres.
talking about the place that's over off the
in
freeway?
Canby. Well,
Oh, in Canby.
okay, so Arndt Road off
Yeah.
of. So you take the exit to go to Canby, and you hit the four-way light, and you turn left to go to Canby. That road, there's a huge sign that says Pat's Acres Racing Complex, 50-mile-per-hour go-karts. It's a fucking awesome place. If you've never been, I mean, you should go.
I gotta go. Yeah, I want to go.
Well, but I'm just saying it's on fire right now. I don't
What?
know. I don't know what portion. It's a big property. It's
Holy
a big,
shit.
It's a big piece of land. But I would surmise that maybe it's been really hot lately, really dry.
Yeah.
Maybe a spark fell out of a tailpipe somewhere when
Sure.
someone was like, because they also have a motocross track, and maybe they were motocrossing because the kids that are
Well, there's fuel and there's oil,
lots
and
of shit,
a lot of
lots
flammable
shit.
substances.
The
and stuff.
kids of the owners are like totally rad, like kids that grew up privileged, but not they're not
Right.
assholes. They just love to ride all sorts of off road vehicles, and all it takes is one spark.
Wow,
But it's on fire now, right?
because those are usually dirt and like straw. So I think the
Well-
straw part can burn to the ground. But also there's a lot of car parts and or go kart stuff. And
This is actually a track where they do the drifting.
Oh.
They'll actually have they'll have
yeah.
a weekend. I think it's quarterly. I think it's bi-monthly. So every 2 weeks, I think they'll do a drag weekend there, and people bring their drag cars and obviously they're cars that are meant for fucking up it potentially because there
Right.
are. I think they take all the barriers that are normally there for go-karting away from the track. So worst case, you go into the grass or potentially you hit a tree, but you'd have to be a really shitty drifter.
so you can watch drifting out there at this
You
place.
can, and also that's where the Hair Fest goes on usually. So
Oh,
a Hair Fest is like
Really? I heard about Hairfest.
It's supposed to be the shit, bro. It's a hair metal tribute band.
Totally.
Shit show. I do warn people. Obviously,
Is it coming up here or is it already happened?
I
I wonder.
Oh no, it was.
I have to look into that.
No, it was a month ago. I think.
Oh, bummer. Yeah, I heard
sorry,
on the
dude.
radio they were actually advertising for it on the radio, and I wanted to go see it.
That's just it. Maybe they held it somewhere else because I drive by there every day and I didn't see anything.
Interesting.
Or maybe I was in Hawaii.
And then somebody set it on fire.
Speaking of Hawaii, that's another thing I wanted to.
Oh
talk
yeah, the
about.
homeless situation in Hawaii.
Oh my God!
Correct.
Did you know that there are many cities, especially metropolitan cities, especially liberal controlled, that are just wholesale shipping the homeless
Correct.
to Hawaii?
Yeah.
Now, granted, I'm not going to knock homeless people's desire to live in Hawaii because it's fucking beautiful.
Right.
I mean, shit, just being there for a week, you get acclimated on like the third day, and the mugginess isn't that bad anymore. And you walk outside, just walking outside, just walking around makes it feel like you're doing something, accomplishing something, because it's so beautiful there. I mean, shit, the first
I
place
couldn't even imagine.
First place we stayed, I racked my head on a fucking lime hanging from a lime tree up to the front door. Like, you just don't. It doesn't happen here, man. You can't walk out your front door and hit a lime.
Get hit in the face with citrus.
In my eye.
Oh my God, my eyes!
An Airbnb.
But it sounds yeah. You didn't say this on the Airbnb ad. There was a fucking lime over the door. Get me some tequila, quick!
Anyone over 6'2" is getting racked in the face with a fucking lime.
That's awesome. But I was looking at it. It's actually something I was going to bring up, because in Hawaii, a lot of the residents are getting sick and tired of all these homeless camps popping up all over the place.
Yes.
And I think it was Oahu is the worst.
The worst.
Yeah, the
Oh,
worst
my
hit
God.
place. And they said they showed pictures of it, and these are
Oh, yeah.
public
It's
benches.
It's
public
Skid
parks.
Row. It's Skid Row on
Yeah.
a fucking island.
The fucking beach has been turned into Skid Row.
I'll put it this way. So the first time I went to Hawaii, I was in the PDX airport, and the pilot that was going to take us to Honolulu, because, you know, when you fly to Hawaii, there's almost no direct flights to the Big Island, and that's where we're going. We're going to Hilo. So we flew to Honolulu, but before we got there, we were in the airport before we boarded the plane, and this guy was just sitting there really painting a bad picture of Honolulu and Oahu as in a broad sense. He was like, it's full of fucking hookers and strippers and open drug use and homeless. And he's like, if you walk down Waikiki at night, it's all what they call, what do they call them? The glass heels. They've got this whole thing where they
Yeah, the
wear
ice
these-
heads.
What? Yeah, there's that. But
Or
I'm just
glass.
saying,
What's a glass heel?
the hookers, they wear these specific shoes to indicate that they're hookers. That's basically,
Oh.
you know, how hooker demographics change everywhere you go.
Sure.
They got to have their little calling cards.
Well, we don't have a lot here in Tualatin.
Not really.
Not that I've seen. There's no open prostitution anywhere.
No, I haven't seen that.
Except for there's this one Jasmine foot massage place, and it looks a little shady. But anyways,
yeah, you know,
the windows are all blacked out.
the
And stuff.
happy ending shit.
I would
yeah.
think so, man. It just looks like one of those places. But anyway, that's a segue.
Well, I went to a beach park on the Big Island this last time I went there. Excuse me. And there was some guys that had this really cool custom trike. It was a guy and a girl, and it was purple trike.
I want to trike pretty bad, actually.
It was
Dude,
dude. It was custom built. It was. So I started talking to him because we used the bathroom there, and my wife was in the bathroom. So I started talking to this guy, and it sounded like he was part of this. There's a place called Ocean View, and Ocean View is on the west side of the island. It's got a beautiful view of the ocean, obviously, hence the name. And there's some businesses there. There's like a pizza shop, really good pizza, and a little store and like a gas station and stuff. But that's about it. A little Thai food place. But up the hill, apparently, that's kind of where they're putting all the squatters. And by squatters, I do mean somewhat productive squatters. Like, this guy's got a trike. I mean, he's not totally fucking destitute.
Okay, so he was one of the squatters. I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
And one of the guys with them was riding a Harley drunk, and they kept saying, like, are you okay to ride? And he's like, oh, yeah.
Fine,
But so I talked to them a little bit about the socioeconomic issues facing that part of the island, and he goes, yeah, there's other islands where they're building resorts, they're kicking people off their land and paying these people pretty good chunks of money to move their asses to Ocean View. So they do have these kind of targeted areas where they can kind of gentrify your ass off another part of the island or another island entirely and put you in this spot. And then they said they're getting like $3,000 a month, and I'm like, well, that's pretty good.
God damn, really?
But then I guess
That's more than I get paid for working.
But then I guess they're cutting them off at a certain point.
Oh, sure.
So
Yeah,
it's kind of one of those
doing it.
open-ended contracts.
Right.
Like, we're going to do this until you forget who's sending you the paychecks, and then we're just going to stop them.
Well, you know, it's interesting you would say that too, because I took a real estate class at one point, and it was like a property management real estate class, and the instructor had been a broker for 20 years.
I bet.
And he said, you know what? He said, what's the best way to get rid of a squatter? And because he helped people sell land in the Sierra Mountains. So there'd be like these huge tracts of property where nobody would ever be there. Somebody would show up with a motorhome. She would park the motorhome, like a mom and her 3 kids would park the motorhome there. She's a professional squatter. And if you're there for 2 weeks, you're a resident. So you have to go through the entire eviction process. So he goes, what's the best way to get rid of a squatter? And everybody said, well, call the police. It's like, no, that's not going to work. Run at them with guns, run them off. No, you can't do that or you'll get arrested. So you pay them. He's like, you pay them to leave. That's the best way to get rid of a squatter is you go up to him,
But that's
you
what
say,
they
look,
want.
it is, but it's what you have to do. And he said, you got to pay him, $1,500 or $2,000 just to leave. And that fucking blew my mind. And I'm not saying it's good or right in any way, shape, or form. It's leeching, if anything. You know what I mean? It's like the lowest form of how to get money and how to get a home somewhere.
It's not leeching. It's fucking parasitic tick. It's like you're
absolutely
latching on and also giving the person Lyme's
go ahead
disease.
and try and get rid of me.
Yeah, I'm in your fucking blood.
Well, that's
now.
what these people in Portland are doing now. I
Yes.
dropped off my fiance at the airport. I was driving back. It's midday, and the places that I saw homeless camps pop up at was fucking mind-boggling. One of them was like right behind a Motel 6 on 82nd Avenue. Another one is behind a Legacy Hospital.
That was the key word, 82nd.
82nd. Well, yeah, but it wasn't just 82nd. It was everywhere. I mean, my son and I were going to Washington to go buy some fireworks.
You dirty dog.
Yeah, it was a fun 4th of July. We got to blow shit up.
Fucking A.
Woo! And on our way there, we pulled off to go to Walmart or something like that because he needed to get, some like work shoes. And we pull off, and there's a homeless camp here. There's a homeless camp there. There's a tent over there. You pull into Portland, and like on the Southeast Industrial District. Wow! Like some of the homeless camps that have popped up underneath the overpasses are mind-boggling. Belmont. It's just fucking crazy.
Drove through there the other day, though. They'd clean that whole camp out. They're just it's like musical.
And they'll just
it's
push them
musical
somewhere
chairs.
else.
It's
Right.
musical chairs.
What was it? What was it called? The corridor, that bike trail that was completely overrun.
Yeah, they finally kicked those motherfuckers out too. But we were, me and my wife were downtown, and I'm walking across the Burnside Bridge, and I look over the overpass at that bike trail, and I'm just like, okay, I see at least 3 piles of human excrement.
Yep.
And a couple tents, and I think that's a syringe. Let's go around, honey.
Right.
It was just really fucked up.
Open drug use, open people defecating everywhere, and trash. That's the one thing that these guys have got to get. If you're gonna live in a community and they're gonna be so accepting that they'll actually let you live there without paying a goddamn dime. You get your food for free, you get your clothing for free, you spend all your money on drugs, and the state is paying them something.
Yeah.
Nobody's that broke. You can go, if you don't have any, the thing that's so crazy about our welfare system is that the people who don't have anything, the people who say I'm homeless, I have no bank account, I have no record of even existing except for this ID and this social security card, I don't do anything to contribute to society, they'll give you cash every month. They'll give you $200 or $300 a month cash. Whereas
it's called food stamps.
Yeah, but on top of food stamps.
I know.
Yeah, so then if I go in there with my kids and I'm like, hey, I'm having a hard time, all my money is going to rent or to bills or this and that, they'll say, you know what, we really can't help you because you have an income.
Of course,
yeah. How dare you come in here and ask for assistance?
When me and my wife, well then girlfriend, moved up here, I was 19. She was 20. She's about 8 months older than me. So she really was against food stamps. She's like, you know what, we can provide for ourselves. We also have families that can help us out when we need help. And I think my mom did volunteer assistance in the form of I think it was like $300 a month for the first 6 months or something like that.
Well, that's nice.
Which I thought was very gracious.
Yeah.
Because our first apartment, and at the time it was only $760. By the way,
imagine
that same apartment now.
Wow.
in Tualatin. That same apartment now I think is about 11,
Damn.
12.
Right.
Anyway, so I applied for food stamps reluctantly, but at the time I was like, we need this, and fuck the government. So,
Sure. Yeah.
at the time it was kind of more of a let's stick it
pay
to it,
into it,
but
yeah.
I didn't. But then anyway, I had an epiphany later. But so $200 a month. And but in Washington County, I do kind of support this now. Looking back, hindsight's 2020. I do think that it's good, but they have a work program, so you have to apply. They basically send you to like job fairs and little work training seminars.
Sure.
Where you're taught.
I like that.
I do like that.
Yes.
So before I'd moved up here, there was a guy that I was helping on a construction project near my parents' house, and actually the place we got married. But anyway, that's a different story. But he was like, UPS is always hiring. He's like, you're moving to Tualatin. He's like, there's a hub there. I'm surprised this guy knew that, but he knew there was a hub in Tualatin. And he's like, they're always hiring. He's like, just go apply. So I applied, and over the course of the time that we were on food stamps, it was about a month and a half, almost 2 months. But I'd already applied to UPS, and they were basically, I was just waiting to get a call back from them. So I went to their little job seminar, I think once, but then I got the call back from UPS about a week later. So I didn't even have to go to the job fair. I just went to the first like job anticipation for a job meeting. But as soon as I reported that I got a job at UPS, which by the way, UPS is not a bad place to get. It's a great first time job for like a young, you know, you do have to be 18. So there is an age cutoff. You do have to be an adult.
Yeah.
But if you're an 18-year-old kid and you want to go to college and pay your own way, they do provide, I'm plugging them a little bit. They do provide, you're working part-time, you're working maybe 16 to 22 hours a week.
Really?
Pretty much year round.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, if you're just starting off, you know, part-time.
During peak season, which is
Right.
obviously Christmas.
Yeah.
You can get up there to, you know, you can cover other people's shifts in the graveyard shift. You can, if you want to, there's always extra work at UPS. Don't get it twisted. But as soon as I reported to them that I had a job at UPS, which I was netting like on a weekly basis, like, oh my God, probably like 125 to 180 bucks
A week?
depending on-
Wow.
a week.
Yeah,
Just
trying to live on that.
nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. They cut my food stamps down to $16 a month
Is that amazing or what?
for a fucking like 18-hour a week job.
Yeah.
No real explanation, no factoring in what my rent, you know, I put all
Right.
that information down, what my rent is. I had no dependents, but at the same time, Amanda, she got a job at Payless. That was her first job up here, which,
Wow.
yeah, she's had a lot of retail jobs since then. But in any case, yeah, at that point, I just never reapplied for food stamps and said, fuck you. I'm not going to waste my time jumping through your hoops and paperwork
For $16 a month?
$16 Fuck
Amen to that, man. Amen to that. I completely
so
agree.
It was just, I like it was altruistic in the sense that, yeah, they had a work, you know, incentivization. Basically, I held a gun to your head if you wanted to keep getting your benefits, which I appreciate because now looking back, I realize that's taxpayer money.
Right.
That's not your
Unless you know how to cheat the system and manipulate it. And if you don't know how to manipulate the system, in
I'm
my
sure
opinion,
homeless people are well versed in that.
absolutely.
And illegal immigrants. but
Yeah,
we're not
one of
on
the
that subject.
when I was in one of the shelters,
Yeah.
one of the things that blew me away the most, and I will never forget this, is all these guys are sitting around talking in a shelter. We all sleeping in a shelter, and the guy walks over to me and he goes, "Hey, man, when do you get paid?" And I was like,
What the fuck?
"When do I get paid?"
Yeah,
It's
where's
like,
my
yeah,
money?
we'll get paid once a month. When do you get paid? And I'm like, I don't.
County check pimping.
Yeah, I live in a shelter with you. What do you mean, when do I get paid? He's like, well, he gets a disability check. He gets a retirement check. He gets this and that. One guy got paid over $3,000 a month. And he was living in a fucking shelter because he would get his check at the beginning of the month. They would go and party and spend it on crack and booze and whores or whatever in hotel rooms. And then the last week or so of the month, they would be broke. So they'd have to sleep in the shelter until they get their check again and then go out and do the same thing all over again. That fucking blew my mind. So a lot of the homeless people, and the thing that people don't know is a lot of them have money. I'm not saying that they make thousands of dollars a month, but they do have some sort of income. And I was taught by a certain gentleman before I left California to come here how to manipulate the system. And he said the best way to manipulate the system is you don't tell them anything. You say, I don't have a bank account. I don't have a home. I'm sleeping on somebody's couch. It doesn't matter if you have money in your pocket or not. You don't tell them you have money in your pocket. You just say, I have nothing. I'm sleeping on somebody's couch, and that's it. And they will give you the maximum amount of cash benefits and food benefits possible for lying. And so it's like it's almost set up.
My friend,
If you want help from these people to fuck them over.
Listen to this. So I had a friend in high school. This kid was off the rails. I mean, I liked him well enough, but he was
Not
just,
to say I ever do that.
he had a very self-destructive way of living. And I remember one time he was on mushrooms in school, and I'm like, dude, you should probably get out of here. 'Cause he's like, man, I'm fucked up. He's like standing in the hallway by himself. He's like, I went to go to the bathroom. I'm fucked up. I'm like, dude, leave. But anyway,
why are you on mushrooms at school?
long story short, he has, he had parents. They weren't the best parents, but I mean, he has a nice house to live in. Is in a rural area, is on a piece of property. It's nothing to shake your finger at. And his fucking ass went to Corvallis and fucking lied and said that he was living at a friend's house. Just everything you just said. He crystallized that down and got fucking food stamps. And you know what he would do? Him and
Sell
my
them?
buddy. Well, kind of. He would fucking go get a bunch of Ready Whip cans and fucking do whippets with the free money he was
Yeah,
getting
you
from
can
the
do that.
government. Like, that's fucked up.
Do you know?
I did partake in it, but it's fucked up.
Sure. I can't say I've never done that. Not gotten my entire thing of whippets, but yeah, that's something you can do is go get a bunch of whipped cream cans and get high off of that. Did you know that you can buy Red Bull? And now you can buy Rockstar energy drink with food stamps.
I didn't.
Somehow Rockstar lobbied to get the government to factor them in as a food source.
You do realize that'd be the first thing I'd lobby for.
Right.
If I'm a fucking beverage company.
Yeah.
That's genius.
It is. And
because
Red Bull already did
that
it.
opens you up to literally billions?
Billions of dollars.
Billions of dollars. We're going to say billions. It could be millions, but we're going to say billions.
Sure.
Billions of dollars in public money that's just floating around out there. I mean,
with people who don't necessarily know how to manage their money correctly. Not to say
I think the definition
that's
of
the case
why
for
they are well,
right,
exactly.
It's just pretty much being irresponsible or whatever with their resources, and that is spending your food stamps on Rockstar energy drink is fucking terribly irresponsible in my opinion.
I've seen the meme. I don't think I ever saved the meme, but it was like what a person on food stamps cart looks like, and it's full of junk, soda, chips, microwavable, frozen, preservative, what the fuck ever, terrible food. And then they show what a taxpayer's cart or something like that, what a taxpayer's cart looked like, and it was just like sensible shit and pretty healthy, but like barely even.
Sure.
It wasn't even covering all the mesh of the bottom of the cart.
Absolutely.
That's just how we live. And I live a very frugal existence. I was raised by a dad who not only was a workaholic, but a perfectionist, but also a frugal motherfucker. Because, I mean, his dad was the kind of dad that would say, oh, your boots don't fit? Put some newspaper in the toe.
Interesting.
That kind of shit. And it wasn't like a school of hard knocks attitude when I was growing up, but it was definitely like, hey, man, you're a kid. I'm your dad. I'm going to give you some money just because I am responsible for you, but don't go spend it on junk. I kind of did, obviously, when you're fucking 11.
Well, you got to learn. Yeah.
Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards are way better than putting it in a piggy bank
account. Yeah.
But basically, when I hit the age 13 to 15, that was kind of where I started. Well, I started smoking weed. So,
most of the time.
Juggalos and shit. I lived in a small logging town, man. So if you weren't a redneck, you were like a fucking skater, a juggalo, or like some wannabe gangster.
Wow.
Bad. But they always called me like a poser because they thought I was given everything, and I'd have to keep reminding them, yeah, I have a nice house I get to live in, and my parents are still together. Like that's a big plus. But
that's a bad thing, no.
But everything you see me wearing right now, with the exception of like a $200 spending allowance once a year for clothes, like that's all shit that I had to buy. My car, I have to put gas in the tank. It doesn't just magically appear in there from my parents' charge card. It doesn't work like that. Everybody else you might associate with that image, probably the case.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing I do with my kids now. They work for, they're both now entering the working world, and I am really proud of both of them because, man, they're kicking some ass. My son Danny is, and my son Connor, like, he's just doing such a great job at his, like, it's Wendy's, but you go in there and you're just,
you told me about
wow,
that.
you take this shit seriously.
That's great.
You don't just sit around with a fucking attitude, like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm not gonna do that. He does whatever they ask. He has a good attitude, and he really busts his ass, and that to me is great. Yeah, so it's an essential trait for them to have to keep off the streets.
Yeah.
And if you have a work ethic, what I was teaching him is it doesn't matter what you do or where you work. If you have that work ethic, it's usually going to carry you.
It's a commodity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your not only your reputation, but your work ethic is a commodity.
Right.
You can trade it for real hard currency. That's kind of how you got to look at everything. It's not as simple as just.
That's how you stay off the streets too.
You get a job, you loaf around, you act like. I mean, like, let's put it this way: there's a woman that my wife works with now. I doubt she's gonna be there much longer, but they work in a fucking consignment boutique for clothing and jewelry. It's not a hard job,
and she doesn't do shit.
She shows up late every fucking day, and of course, you go to her Instagram. She's got a hashtag resist not my president day without a woman. It's like, bitch, every day you work is a day without a woman for at least 10 or 15 minutes because you decide to be late every fucking day. That directly reflects on your attitude towards the job you have.
Right.
You think the boss is like, she's so she's got so little time on her hands. I'm just gonna go real easy on her. You
Yeah,
know,
how can I-
Clearly, she's better than me.
Right.
She deserves all this extra time. She
Why
needs
would
to
I
get to
possibly
work.
require her to be
All
on
her
time if I'm going
excuses
to pay
are
her?
valid. I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
going to invalidate any excuse. She's
Yeah.
a precious little snowflake.
No, I have people that work with me. The exact same thing. This one girl, we're supposed to be there a certain amount of hours, and she leaves early every day. And it's because somebody else tell her to, hey, could you move your box from there over to here? Oh,
Triggered.
fucking tell me what to do. Fuck you.
Triggered.
Just like, bam, gone. Every day.
I'll say you touched me.
Yeah, and there's guys who I work with also that do the absolute least amount of work possible in order to get a paycheck, and I hate that.
Yeah.
That is like one of my biggest pet peeves is to watch these guys just loaf around and be lazy fucks, but still be able to manage to keep their job somehow.
The next thing I'm going to say is slightly racist, but it's the truth. I worked at UPS, and the two laziest guys in the building, which really bothered me because I'm not racist, but
Oh, really?
but I'll put it this way: I want everyone to be good and great, and be the shine. It's not like everyone's trying to codify their existence with their skin color, but at the same time, if you're a minority, especially in a very white liberal area like the area we happen to live in, which is around Portland, Oregon, you at least
White liberal's a great way to
you
put
at
it.
least shouldn't play out to every stereotype of your own culture and or racial identity.
But where else could you get away with
and
it?
deny it?
Right.
So the two laziest guys in UPS were a black dude and an Arab dude.
Huh.
And you know, I like Marcus and I like
Oh, call him out.
oh, well, not just first names, Marcus and
No, yeah. It's
I forget at this point, but you know, they were very personable, very Omar and Marcus, very personable guys. Really got along with them really well. The problem is, they would come over to your work area, distract you from your job.
and everybody else.
I watched Marcus take phone calls on the clock in the trailer, which is like immediate fucking termination. And he'd be listening to his music with both headphones in. So half the time you try to talk to him, he wouldn't even hear you because he's bumping some shit really loud. And sometimes it was like, oh, Marcus, look out, the box is hitting. Oh, it's hitting you in the head now. Okay, you got headphones in. Like, it's a danger. It's a serious safety hazard.
Sure. And get away with it.
And he would just always, not only was it excuses, but he just kind of clown people when they'd say, Marcus, you got to work. Like, a supervisor's like, I always thought it was funny, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, you're actually slowing me down now. Like,
Yeah.
I do want to work.
Right.
I
We
want to
call
go
them
home.
Black holes of productivity.
That's a racist connotation with that, but yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean black, but I mean,
Yeah,
but
no,
literally.
I get it.
No, we had a guy that I used to work with, same thing. He was and another one of my coworkers coined the phrase, but I thought it was genius because they are black holes of productivity. Like
Yes.
everywhere they go,
Sinkholes,
productivity
yeah.
stops
Sinkholes.
because they distract everybody else from doing their job.
Precisely. And he was from dude, his dad's like a really high up guy in Nike. He's from a you can tell the only reason he has this job is his dad was like, son, you got to have a job or you're getting kicked the fuck out.
Yeah, you're getting cut off.
Because this guy's like 30 something.
Right.
He's not young. I was working there at 19.
Wow.
This guy's like 10 years older than me, and he's acting way more childish than I ever would even consider at any job.
Oh, yeah.
But remember, he's protected by the union. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know there was a union.
UPS is Teamsters, man.
Oh.
They're very powerful.
Interesting.
And I was a shop steward at one point. I was kind of talked into it, but
Mm-hmm.
it was actually valiant. I mean, there was things the company was doing to really fuck us over, and at the time, our boss was really shitty. He's a coke addict, fucking war vet, but not the good kind. Like I gained 300 pounds after the war because I felt so sorry for my ass, and like
The asshole cokehead boss.
he was a terrible dude. He sexually harassed me. I'm not going to get into it, but
Right.
He,
No, I had a cokehead boss.
he
at
said
one
some
point,
really
but,
fucked
yeah.
up shit to
Yeah.
a couple people that didn't even remotely deserve it. Like really sweet people.
Right.
Just because he's a horrible person.
Yeah.
And but yeah, Omar was an auditor, and so auditors walk around the building and they basically take packages, weigh them to make sure they're not over what the weight says on the box. Anything that is, they'll pull it aside, they'll get a new sticker for it, and charge the company or whatever.
That sounds like a perfect job to fuck off on.
And it was.
Yeah.
And he would come into work areas that weren't even remotely close to where he was supposed to be, chat you up for 20 minutes. The supervisor would have to come over and say, Omar, get the fuck back to your work area, or are you working right now? Like, get out of here. And he would just kind of clown it off. But all these guys would run their mouth about other people who I know have good work output or management, or just this let's shirk all responsibility, put it on other people, that kind of thing. And it just really bothered me. I still like those people. I still like them
sure.
both. I argue with Omar online. He's a total SJW.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Muslim. I mean,
some of the most lazy people
Yeah.
I've ever met are the most personable, and that's how they
Absolutely.
try to shirk their responsibilities, and I fucking hate it.
you can't just compensate with being witty and cute and funny. You know what I mean? Like,
actually do your job.
even girls, like, just because you're hot shit, you look amazing, that doesn't mean you just gotta loaf around.
Well, that's the chick at work. She has her titties like shoved up, and
Of
she's got a
course
nice
she
body,
does.
and she walks
Of course
around.
she does.
She knows how to manipulate men, and I don't let her manipulate me in any way, shape, or form. And I'm talking even to the smallest, like, oh, could you grab this part for me? Oh, I can't get up there. Can you climb that ladder and get that for me? And you say, no, you do it because we work the same job. And if you're going to work the same job as me, then you're going to climb that fucking ladder and get that part.
There was a lady like that at the work as well, and I can probably just say her name. It doesn't really matter, but she's not hot shit. That was just it. Like, she put on pounds of makeup every day, had the walk, had the attitude, and I mean like bitch attitude. But like I'm fucking around. I'm a bitch at it. You know what I mean? Like, just,
but if there's one woman and 20 men, you can have a woman who's no way physically attractive.
that's what it was, dude.
But they all treat her
That's
like
what
she
it
is.
was,
Yeah,
bro.
because she's like the one
That's
woman.
what it was.
Like a whole thing.
I'm gonna tell you
full of
right
men.
now, there's a lady. I'm shout out to Carrie, but she was just the hardest working, most pleasant fucking girl, dude. She's a single parent. The fucking guy that knocked her up was a piece of shit. I mean, he fucking, that total entitled little fucking rich kid, coke snorting fucking just asshole, man.
Fucking A.
And he completely pushed her out of his life after he knocked her up, after he basically sweet talked her into the relationship in the first place. And she took it on the chin and just, water off a duck's back, man. Just fucking kept going. And she would come into my trailer sometimes and help me move all my shit without even being asked. She would load as fast as she could, and she'd always have a smile. And she was actually literally trying to get like a workout while she was at work. Like, that was her goal. Badass chick from Minnesota, by the way.
So she just basically
She came
gave
from a
herself to
very
the
poor
job.
background. Her
Right.
parents were very poor. I met her sister at one point too. She was really rad as well.
And she just accepted
She wanted
the
to
job.
she wanted to be an airplane mechanic,
Yeah.
and she actually got the job eventually at Aurora. But she
Wow.
was commuting. Get this, because her sister lived in, or as a cousin or something, but they lived in Albany. So she was commuting from Albany to Aurora every day, and it was just so rough for her because she also had to find a babysitter for her kids all the time, or her kid all the time.
Right.
And eventually she got fired for being late all the time to
that's too bad.
that airport job. But it was just so sad. But yeah, guys would fawn all over her, and it was just like, and not to be rude to her, I mean, she's very peppy and cute in a certain way, but she's pretty homely in that sense. But great person. So I could see where guys would just be like, damn,
Yeah. Well,
she,
I don't
she
think
works harder than I am, and she's also very sweet and friendly.
I don't think men are any hornier though than when they're doing a labor-intensive job, because
Well,
that's all you
testosterone's
fucking
pumping.
your testosterone's pumping, and all you're thinking about the whole time to kind of like ease the pain of the laborious job. And I know I do this. Is sex. And then when you see like a hot chick or even a non-hot chick that's just there, and there's 10 other dudes, all you can think about is like. You catch yourself,
Yeah.
and I stop myself with the chick at work now because I know every other guy around me is doing it, and I fucking refuse to do that with her. I don't care how big your
Just
titties are.
mind fucking.
Yeah,
all
oh, she
day.
bends over, she does
Oh,
this,
seriously,
she does
man?
that. She tells guys, "Oh, I had a weird dream. I had a inappropriate dream about you last night." She actually said that.
No
to some
fucking way.
fucking idiot.
No
Yeah.
fucking way.
Absolutely, and he fell for it. He's like, "Oh," and I was like, "Dude." There's a word for
Fix his retainer.
women like that, and it's called tease, and you're getting sucked into it. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to do that," but you see it happening every day. It's really sad. We're gonna have to wrap up,
No worries.
unfortunately, which is great, man.
That's awesome, man. It's been a great conversation.
I'm really enjoying the shit out of this, man. I'm really super happy that you're doing this. It's been a
man.
while since I put out an episode, and this is some really great material, and I'm so fucking happy. I hope you come back. I really do.
Try to
Like
do it
soon.
Try to do it once a week, man.
Absolutely. You want
Do
to?
it. Yeah, because I need.
If you are, I am
I need an
100% down.
I need an outlet. You can tell I like to talk, but I need an outlet for all this shit.
Absolutely.
I need this is like a sanity space. Fuck your safe space. I want a sane space.
I hate safe
I
spaces.
thought of that last night. Sane space.
Sane space
Because
is
it's
good.
the polar opposite of these cloistered echo chamber safe spaces that people are requesting.
Fucking safe
I want a
space.
sane space.
So a safe space is like a mental prison cell Because you can't really be.
That's kind of how it is.
Yeah.
Have you seen that Harvard is actually
Safe space?
self-segregating?
What?
They had a blacks-only graduation.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm not fucking around, bro.
I gotta be quiet.
Oh yeah, sorry.
But no,
They
that's
literally
insane.
they're like, well, we want our own graduation because patriarchy or some shit, and
They did that?
they did it in the library. Yeah, there was another school. There's now, I think there's like 3 universities now that have all black dorms,
Wow.
and they're requesting that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
okay.
really scary part.
It's totally okay for them to
Is that
segregate.
these same people that would accuse everyone else of being racist, unfortunately, they're doing it to themselves.
And they won't
They're
allow anybody who's
forcibly
not black into their...
castigating themselves from the main group of people. So that's just, unfortunately, that's the place we're at right now.
We got to touch on that in the next episode.
Absolutely.
I agree. So, yeah, we know where we're at in homelessness.
Word.
The homeless population.
They need
Where we're
jobs.
at as far as the... I think you've got our full opinion about the social justice douchebags
For the most part.
and the
There's a lot
anti-law
more.
pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Fuck those guys.
Indeed. Thank you
LARPers.
for tuning into this episode of Weapons Grade Radio.
Weapons. Great.
This is Will
Radio
and Christian,
names Will.
and this is very exciting.
Yeah, man.
We're back. I'm back, baby.
Any fool with a dick can make a baby, but only a real man can raise his children.
If you ever bully or hurt anybody again, I'll come back and butt fuck your father with your mom's headless corpse on this goddamn lawn.
I know how to angle myself for the rest of the men, you see. That's why I did that, Sue. That's why I did that thing at that boy, you know. And I was fixing all of it. I was a praying man. He's fine in the day. You know, the praying man. He's fine in the day. I think it's very important that we act badly, but I think it's very important that we act badly. It's very important that we act badly, but it's very important that we act slap on your dad. Slap on a man that can't control himself. So really, we end this win. A man that can't control himself. So really, we end this win. So whether it's no, yeah. I suppose sometimes in some of the cases, you know, very anxious with the bone. And in some of the cases, you know, very anxious. The most important thing. I think the most important thing that devil can do is to self-sacrifice the coordinate the Kmart box. Because